a catfish. Oh, catfish. He's pulling. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Hi, y'all. Merry Christmas from a very cold East Tennessee. I'm back home from Florida. I'm already missing that warm sunshine, man, but we're going to get out here and get after it today. I just launched here in a backwater creek, and we're going to try to net us some shad to use as bait that we will ultimately use to hopefully catch bait and then catch us some catfish with. So we're going after everything, y'all. Literally anything and everything today. We're going to try to catch it. So come with me. Let's have some fun. If I've looked at the calendar correctly, I think this video is coming out on Christmas. So Merry Christmas. Hope Santa was good to you. Hope you fellas got some new underwear and maybe a box set of Old Spice or Brute cologne. And I bet you one or two of you out there might have got you a Whitman sampler too. So bust open them chocolates. I don't know why it is the Whitman sampler. You only get them like one time a year at Christmas, but they're amazing. So I hope you got some. But let's get after it, man. Enough talking. I'm going to stick y'all right here in the chest. We're going to throw a cast net here first thing and see if we can find us some shad. There should be, normally this time of year, winter months, these backwater creeks, there's usually a bunch of shad schooled up. And what I want here to start with is some small thread fins. That's what we're going to feed to anything else. Crappie, bass, drum, skipjack, I don't care. We'll take those fish that we catch then and use them as catfish bait. And we're going to start fishing back here shallow too. Like we're going to start fishing back here in this creek system. Wherever we're catching bait at, catching shad at, that's where we're going to go start our fishing session at. So I'm getting my net ready here. This is just a cheapo 6 foot, well, there ain't no such thing as a cheap cast net anymore. Yeah, but they're all expensive. But this is the cheapest one I could get here at Academy. 6 foot long, 3/8 inch mesh. So this will capture the smaller shad. And it's 1 pound per foot. So it will sink very quickly. I'm just gonna, I launch right over here to the left. I'm just looking right now around this bridge. Looking along the shoreline here. Just looking around, looking for shad to flip. And tell me where they're at. Under this bridge is super shallow. Like once you get back there beyond this bridge, it's just inches deep. I'm not really seeing much back up in there. There were some flips over here to my right, kind of in deeper water. Some more right out there. Let's just work over here on these rocks. Sometimes these rocks, on a sunny day, the rocks will hold heat and bring up bait fish to them. It's cloudy today, so that's not going to really help our cause, but there could very well be some. And if we get some gizzard shad over here on these rocks, well, hey, even better. Well, right here, by God, something's going on right here. I bet that was skipjack right here to our left. Disregard all the shad stuck in my net from last time I threw it. They get caught in that net there and can stink up your vehicle if you leave it in there. There we go. All right, first throw. Let's see what we get here. Hopefully load up quick, because the longer we throw, the more my hands are going to get wet and I'm going to get cold quick. Okay, we got some. We got some right there, folks. Let me back us up. I'm about to slam them rocks. I got my bucket here. I filled up with water before I left the ramp. Oh, we got a bigger gizzard shad right there too. Shake them things out of the net and we'll stick them in there. Definitely stick that gizzard shad in there. We'll use him. How about that, folks? All right. First throw. These shad, my bucket here, it's not aerated. Not gonna be switching the water out or anything. Shad don't live very long in there. We don't need them to though, because when we run out today, we can just throw the net and get some more. We may have enough right here on this first throw if I can get hold of them down here in my, they've fallen down here in my pedal drive slot. Dadgummit. Let's pull that one out of the net too. I've got a variety of rod and reel setups here I'll show you once we get started. These others are down here. They're kind of in that Mirage Drive slot there. Y'all bear with me a second here while I get her bait. If y'all learn to bring bait with us or with you here on these trips, I wouldn't have to go through this and get myself all soaking wet and everything. That'd be all right. I always try to get us some bait. Let me get our net ready here again. I've got videos, or a video on my channel if you want to learn how to throw a cast net from a kayak. It's several years old, but the technique I use is the exact same. It works well for me. And there's a million ways to throw a cast net. The best way to throw one, though, is the one that works well for you. You can watch other people's videos. You can try different techniques. Some are going to work for you and some ain't. And I've tried a bunch of techniques. This one here works for me. Now, I'm left-handed, but I throw a cast net right-handed. Don't know why. I can throw either way. There was a shad flip right there on the bank. It's just easier for me to throw with my non-dominant hand. I don't know why. So I recommend trying different techniques. Try and throwing with both arms and see what works best for you. Let's get us some shad. Oh, golly bum, I messed that up. Clearly my technique didn't work right there, did it? Terrible throw. Got the rope caught on my hand as we went by. That's okay. We'll make our way on over through here. So I got this looped around my hand. Normally I like to cinch it down higher up, but this cheap net here from Academy, it's awful loose on your arm. If you try running up your arms, I put it around my wrist. Get the loops of the rope up here. Get your net. This one's 6 foot long. I like to grab it about halfway down. And I like to apparently get it wrapped all around my pedal drive. Golly, but every time I try to film on video, y'all, everything goes wrong for me. Make a fool out of myself. There we go. Much easier to do in a boat, that's for sure. So then, grab a loop at the end of your cast net, and I come up and I drape it over my index finger and my thumb. I go grab another loop down here farthest away from me, put that over my index finger. I grab a loop closest to me, put that over my thumb. Now, grab a handful of net, and I'm ready to throw. So, let's work our way back over here. See if shad could be anywhere in this creek, but normally if I'm throwing for gizzard shad, I like to kind of throw up on the shore. I like to throw up real shallow. Today, I really want to try to get us some smaller thread fins, and oftentimes you can see them. You'll see them in giant schools, but the water's kind of muddy out here today. It's kind of hard to see down in there. Another crap throw right there, y'all. I'm trying not to throw this camera out of my chest when I sling this around is what I'm really worried about. Y'all being here, I'm happy to have you come with me on this trip. But y'all sitting here watching through this camera on my chest is making it a little bit difficult to throw this net. We'll get it together here shortly. I'm gonna do it quick too before my hands get cold and numb. Cause it is cold, y'all. I went from being in Florida, flip-flops, coming home here, and it's cold, it's been windy, it's been raining some. I think we're supposed to have some rain or snow flurries potentially this afternoon. I'm ready for anything out here. Okay, there was some shad flipping back here. I was just gonna work back here And this little pocket oftentimes can find some gizzard shad back up in here. All right, let's get our net ready here while we glide up to where that one there was flipping. All right, y'all stay in the chest here. That was a slightly better throw. Let's see if we got, if anything, here. Y'all didn't get nothing on that throw. Y'all gotta do better than that now. Let's throw one over here. Let's throw one over here beside this tree sticking up. If you got electronics, like live scope especially, you can kind of know where to throw before you throw. We're out here in the blind in this kayak, so I kind of just, I like to look for shad activity, look for shad that are flipping on the surface. That's another lousy throw, but we're gonna make it work. As long as that net opens up, you got a chance right there. There's a bunch of fish swimming right there. Nothing on that one. We saw a bunch of fish swimming right here though, after we had thrown it. But I want to take these shad when we get them, and we're going to put them on some small hooks and some small jig heads. We're going to throw at some brush piles. We're also going to troll through this creek. And anything is possible, man. Anything is possible. All this bait up in these creeks brings all the predator fish up. Every winter, these backwater creeks they just fill up with these schools of shad. Okay, let's see what we get in here, if anything. That's better. That's what we're looking for. Well, we got a couple gizzards in there too. How about that? Shake all that out. Let's take our gizzards. We'll throw them in the cooler. Yeah, a couple. Let's throw this one in our bucket. We'll keep him alive. Those other larger shad there, we will throw in the cooler. I want to get these right here. I just want to put about 2 dozen to start with in our bucket. They're hard to get hold of, I'll tell you that. They fall down in my pedal drive slot, and they just get down in there in the grooves, and my hands, being so cold right now, aren't functioning. My dexterity is very limited at the moment. I want to get them out of there before they die. Now we can throw them out there and still catch some fish on them dead, but I'd like to keep them alive here to start with. But oftentimes getting back here in these creeks, folks, it's a matter of just making some throws. Throw along the shoreline, throw back in these little pockets, throw along rocks, riprap, especially if it's a sunny day where you've got the sun beating down and kind of warming things up. Oh, I threw an old one in there, okay. Bear with me here a second, folks. We almost done. We almost ready to start fishing here. I've made 2 or 3 terrible throws, but yet we've somehow persevered through it. Okay, we got us a couple larger gizzards in there, maybe, I don't know, 2 dozen or so of them small thread fins. They won't stay alive in there too terribly long. We had a bluegill in the net too. We got to throw him back. Here in Tennessee, you can't legally cast net bluegill in Tennessee, so we'll throw him back. Now, if we catch him on rod and reel, we can use him. Bear with me a second, folks. I'm gonna dry my hands off best I can. I'm gonna throw these gizzard shad in the cooler and we're gonna get after it, y'all. It's time. Let me get this net out now. Hopefully we're gonna need that. We'll use these as cut bait here a little later. I do pretty well in this pocket here. There he is. I do pretty well in this little pocket for gizzard shad. I don't know what it is about this particular pocket, but it's better than some of the others that are in this creek. So anyway, mission accomplished here, folks. Let me get us spun around. Like I said, we're gonna start fishing right here where the bait is and work our way out of this creek. And what I want to do is work out, this creek has 2 branches. I want to work out of one into the other. Y'all ain't got no water on the lens. I'm impressed. We didn't throw that camera out while I was throwing the cast net. That's a miracle. That's a Christmas miracle in itself. And y'all didn't get water all over the lens. Okay, let's get out right here because the water's real shallow right here. We don't want to throw into that. Now let's get our rig set up here, man. There we go. I'm gonna turn our rod holders around for now, because what I want to do to start with, I want to troll with a light action rod with a couple of small threadfin shad, and I also want to throw out one of them live gizzard shad on a little bit heavier action rod. That way, if we get a big catfish coming up near the surface, if we get a striper, maybe a big largemouth, who knows? Anything's possible, folks. So this here is just a, oh man, 2/0 size hook, maybe. It's a small hook. I don't know the size. It's a small hook. I got 30-pound fluorocarbon to a swivel. No lead. The swivel will kind of act as the lead, just to give the shad something to struggle against. And this is just a medium heavy inshore rod. I'd got this to try to troll them barracuda tubes down there in Florida at the ocean there. I just got my hands dried off. Let me get them wet again. Y'all, you know what you forgot to bring? You forgot to bring the small net for dipping the bait out. Y'all, I cannot take you all anywhere. You had one job today. That's probably too small a hook. I was expecting to be using smaller shad than that on this, but we're gonna make it work. We'll throw him out there. And we're just gonna put him behind us as we troll along. And he'll be back there. And like I said, if something big, I've got my drag kind of loose on that. If something big gobbles him up, y'all grab that rod because it's on. We're in for a good time. Now this one over here, I've got a 1/32 ounce jig head on the bottom. And I've got a 1/64 ounce jig head, a couple feet up the line with a sabiki knot that y'all have managed to get wrapped around the line here. I've never made a mistake in my life, but look what y'all have done here. It's Christmas, folks. I shouldn't be blaming y'all for my mistakes today, of all days. It's not actually Christmas when I'm filming this, but I think today's the December 19th or 20th, I believe. So it's close to Christmas, and you should be seeing it on Christmas if you watch it the day it comes out. So again, Merry Christmas. Let's hope Santa Claus brings us a fish. I'm just gonna grab one of these thread fins here. I'm just gonna hook him in that upper lip there with that one. Well, my hands are going to be cold having to grab these things out by hand all day. I can't believe y'all forgot that net. I had a little minnow net there in my shed I was meant to bring for today. And, well, you know how forgetful I am. So there's the rig, folks. We're just going to throw that out behind us. Now we're going to start trolling. I'm going to slow troll, maybe half a mile an hour to 1 mile an hour. We'll work our way out of this creek. And then once we get up here where the creek kind of starts to bend, there's some brush. I'm going to take my ultralight rod. We'll leave our baits out behind us. But I'm going to take my ultralight rod as we move along, and we'll throw it some brush with these live shad as well and drop it down there and see what we can get. Because we're just doing everything today, folks. It's literally a hodgepodge fishing kind of day. And I'm okay with that, y'all. I am A-okay with catching everything today. I hope you are too. I hope we get some big fish. We certainly could with that big gizzard shad. It's probably a, I don't know, what do you think? 6-inch? 7-inch shad right there probably. So that's a pretty good sized bait. A big largemouth could eat that. A big striper could eat that. A big catfish certainly could. And once we get on out here to the deeper part of this creek, I brought a catfish rod with me. We're going to do some catfishing today, folks. We're going to spend a little time, I want to spend a little time with this here first thing, trolling this through the real shallow part of this creek. I can't tell you how deep it is exactly without having a graph, and with the water, our water level down, you can see there on the shoreline, we're probably down somewhere 6 to 8 feet right now, I guess, give or take. This is just normal winter drawdown. They lower our water level here every year to help with flood control and all that during the winter and the early spring months when we get more rain. But I don't know. Without the graph, it's impossible for me to know exactly how deep we are. I just know it's shallower back here, and then as you get out to the mouth of this creek, it's 50 plus feet deep. So we're just gonna, that boat's bilge pump turned on, about scared me to death. I thought something had us. We're just gonna make our way out of this creek. Back here, we'll fish with these live baits kind of up in the water column. We get on out there toward the entrance of this creek, we'll switch over, drop a bait down for catfish while also fishing one of them still up in the water column and going after anything that might be up chasing shad. You could get schools of white bass, yellow bass, stripers, anything up, just roaming around chasing the schools of threadfin. And we will see, undoubtedly, we will see big schools of threadfin out here today in this creek. Like it's just the time of year. They're very big schools all bunched up in these backwater areas. And catching shad this time of year is usually pretty easy. It don't usually take a lot of throws. Pretty much in any creek you go to, it usually don't take very many throws to get you some shad. If I could have thrown a net worth a damn today, we could have probably done it all in one swoop. Well, I'm too busy launching a camera off my chest. That would have made for a bad day, folks. Christmas and all. If I snag that camera on the cast net or knock it out of my chest on the follow through, that would have made for a bad day. I don't know if I ever told you this on video or not. If I have, and this story's a rerun, I apologize. But last year, Christmas, I bought myself a present. I bought a drone. And it was my first time ever having a drone. I don't know anything about flying them or anything, but I thought, it might be pretty cool. Launch that thing from my kayak, get some overhead shots of me fighting fish and everything. Y'all, I took that drone out the very first time I used it. I crashed that damn thing in the river. My first trip, it was my Christmas present to myself. The first time using it, something malfunctioned. I don't know if I screwed up, if the drone screwed up, I don't know. But I lost control of it. It was supposed to come back and land, and it wouldn't land. It just kept, every time I would move closer to it, it would move farther away. And it got to the point I was chasing the damn thing, and of course I can only chase it so fast in a kayak. So next thing you know, battery runs out, it crashes, sinks before I can get to it. My drone, first flight out in it, gone to the bottom of the river. So if any of y'all out there, ever dragging for catfish or something, and you pull up a drone, cover your ears when you get the SD card out. Because if it was picking up my voice as I was chasing it, you're going to hear a lot of cuss words. It won't be suitable for children's ears, that's for damn sure, because I was cussing in every word combination possible. I was so mad. It was just, I could not get that thing to land. Like it kept running from me. It was the damnedest thing. It was almost like somebody else was controlling it and they were taunting me. Like I would get close and then it would move farther away. Unbelievable. So no more drones for me. That was a one-time and done experience with the drone. Never again. We're just going to do regular filming from this point on. Not fooling with that nonsense anymore. Too expensive. That may actually be, of all the stuff I've lost overboard through the years. I'm trying to think of all the stuff I've lost. I've lost rod and reel combos overboard. Lost a set of boga grips one time. I've lost a bunch of stuff. I mean, if you're going to fish out of a kayak, you're going to lose some stuff overboard. It's inevitable. I think the drone, though, was the most expensive thing I ever lost. And it wasn't an expensive drone. I think I'd give like $400 for it. I mean, that is expensive, but not like... comparatively speaking to some other drones on the market, it was a low-end model. But still, I think that's the most expensive thing I had ever lost overboard. I was so mad. I was so mad, man. So I hope whatever toys you may have got for Christmas, I hope you have a better experience with them than what my toy was last year for Christmas. This year's a better year, though, folks. I can feel it in my bones. I feel some cold in my bones right now, man. I got home from Florida, y'all, and today's the 19th or 20th, I think. So I've been home from Florida for almost 3 weeks. This is the first video I'm filming. And if you're seeing this, things went right for us today. We got on some fish. Now, I have tried to film some since I got home. Not much because of the weather. With the days where it's real cold or raining or the wind's super up, I've just said heck with it. But I have went out a few times since I've been home, and I just haven't done any good. I've struggled, man. I've had a hard time. I either can't get bait, or I do get bait, and I can't get catfish. Like, it's been one or the other. So that's why we're coming out here today. I said, I'm going for the sure thing. I'm bringing a cast net because I know I can get shad. And when we're using these small threadfin shad, it's just like when I throw my gulp minnow on the ultralight. Like, you're representing a small bait, like the bottom of the food chain. Everything's going to eat that. And in the case of these threadfin shad, like the thread fins that we're netting here, those are the size of the shad that are in this creek right now. So the crappie, bass, skipjack, all that are feeding on those thread fin, like, that is what they're eating on. It's the same size. It's the same color. When we're throwing them out there live, it's the same action. It's exactly what they're used to eating right now. So I just wanted to put the odds in our favor today. I wanted to make sure that we were going to catch some fish today. And I honestly should do this more often. I'm kind of set in my ways a little bit, if you will. Like, I like throwing the gulp because it's readily available to me. I store it in the kayak at all times, so I don't have to carry a cast net with me. I don't have to throw a cast net. I don't have to get soaking wet. It's not as bad today because I got bibs on, you know, I'm wet, but it's not like soaking through to me. But still, I just, in general, don't like throwing a cast net. I'll do it. It's a necessity if you're going to catfish. You need to know how to throw a net. You need to be able to get shad. But it's not something I really enjoy doing. So I get dependent. I wouldn't say I get dependent necessarily, but I just get lackadaisical, really, and throw that gulp a lot. And I like throwing the gulp. I catch a bunch of fish with it. And I've got it with me today. We can throw the gulp here if the shad just aren't performing for whatever reason. But I knew we could get a bunch of thread fins, and I really think we're going to have a chance at a variety of species today. Now, I don't know exactly where in this creek, with it being a cold and cloudy day. Fish may be more out in this creek. If it was warm, if it was sunny, they would be back here super shallow. If it was a warm, sunny day, we would probably see these shad, the schools just erupting with fish chasing and whatnot. With it being a cold, cloudy day, the very back of this creek here is not going to heat up, because in the wintertime, you get a warm, sunny day, like you get a day in the high 50s, low 60s, sunny, you can get a few degree temperature change in the shallow backwater areas. And that warmer temperature change will draw a bunch of bait in, which will then draw a bunch of predator fish in. Now, you get these cold nighttime temperatures, it will then pull a lot of those fish back out. And then a day like today where it's cold and cloudy, there's nothing really to draw them back in. But I'm seeing a bunch of shad just randomly flipping out here. I'm not seeing anything busting. I'm not seeing them get chased, but there's a bunch of shad back here. So what we're hoping to do here really with the gizzard shad on the left here and these thread fins on the right, what we're wanting to do as we troll along in this creek is we're hoping to represent, and we're not even representing it, we're actually giving it to them, the real thing here, shad. But we're trying to have these shad basically be separated from a big school. So as we troll along, we're going to pull through some of these schools of shad. And I wouldn't expect us to catch anything when we do that. But as we move away from those individual schools and the shad on our hooks become isolated, any fish, any predator fish around the schools of shad, they're going to have an easy meal to pick off. That's what they do. That's how they find these fish. I've said this before on videos, but it's worth saying again because it's God's honest truth. You've heard the saying, safety in numbers. When these shad, they're all schooled up tight together in a school, they're safe. Because when the predator fish, when they go swimming into that school, it's hard for them to isolate any one individual shad to eat because they're so tight together, there's so much movement going on, it's hard for them to pick off any individual shad. So what they do, and you'll see this, you'll see it sometimes just visually if it's up near the surface, but if you've got electronics, if you've got live scope especially, you can see what's going on under the water there, and you will see those predator fish swim into a school of shad, disperse them, kind of bust them up. And then the individual shad that get isolated away from that school, they get picked off. Those are the ones that get eaten. So that's what those bass, catfish, crappie, whatever the predator fish is, when they swim into that school of shad, they are trying to isolate individual fish. And we're basically, as we troll along here today, we're going to be giving that to them as we go around and in between these schools. So hopefully they're going to get picked off. And then when we drop baits down lower in the water column for the catfish, we're going to hopefully be presenting a, either live or freshly cut bait that is dropped down under the school of shad and is easy pickings. We're just trying to make things easy on these predator fish right here. Boy, this rod right here, they're swimming from something. The rod tip right here got to really wiggling. I'm gonna work us over here closer to the shoreline here, and there's some trees that come out, you can probably see here. I'm gonna try to work us right beside them so that anything maybe sitting on those branches can come out and possibly snatch them shad up. And when we get around the corner up here, I'm gonna take the ultralight and we're gonna take some of them live shad, put it on a jig head and toss it out there and actively fish, not just troll. I'm gonna cast to those other brush piles and see what we can make happen with it. But I'm in my Hobie Lynx kayak today, y'all. I used this kayak down in Florida, and because I just got this kayak a few weeks ago. I got it mainly to go to Florida with because of its lightweight and the fact it can't sink. I had so much fun at this thing in Florida, man. I love it. This is my favorite kayak of all time. Easily my favorite kayak. And I love it. And so I wanted to come out here today in this one. Now I've been talking about that Bonafide XTR kayak for months now. Finally got the thing before I went to Florida. Got home, got rod holders mounted on it. My trailer, I've been waiting on since July. It finally shows up. That's a story in itself, but it finally shows up. I get the Bonafide on the water, and I didn't get any videos in it when I've had it out because I suck at fishing. I haven't been able to catch enough fish in it to justify posting the video, but I've been in it enough now that I can officially tell you that I hate it. And I made a mistake by buying it. It's a fine kayak, like it's well built. Bonafide done a fine job with the quality of the hull, like it's solid. But it's a terrible design for me. And I made a mistake. I have talked about this for years when people ask me about buying a kayak. Is something splashing over here to our left? But when people ask me advice on choosing a kayak, what kayak they should get, et cetera, I always tell them the same thing. Demo. Go try out. Try before you buy. Dealers before COVID used to do demo days where you could just show up at a local lake. They'd have various models, brands there. You could hop in them, take them for a spin, try them out. Choose the kayak that best suits your needs, that you were the most comfortable in. Well, after COVID, dealers have kind of gotten away from that. And with this Bonafide just coming out very recently, I didn't have a chance to actually get in and try it. Now, my friend Mike has one, and I looked at his in person. And I looked at this one in the showroom floor when I went up to Raccoon Creek to buy it. And I looked at the thing, and I was like, this kayak's massive. It's huge. It's like a small John boat. Like there's room for everything. And what I ultimately wanted to be able to do was to be able to fish off the front and the back of it. If I wanted to suspend fish off the front. If I wanted to drag baits, fish off the back. Give myself options. Well, you look at that thing in the showroom floor and you're like, again, something's right here to our left busting. You look at it in the showroom floor and you're like, man, I can do anything in this kayak. And then you get it home and you actually set in it. And as soon as I set in it there on my carport, I'm like, I've made a mistake. And then I get it out on the water and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've made a big mistake. And had I demoed it, I would have known in 10 minutes that that wasn't the kayak for me. Y'all holler at them geese as they go by. They got plenty to say. They got plenty to say as they go by mocking us here as we're still waiting on that first bite, y'all. Them dang old geese. There's something else, ain't they? But that was my mistake. I should have made it a point to try that kayak before I bought it, and I didn't. And so now I've got major buyer's remorse. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. Well, I'd take that back. I like the seat. The seat's very nice. It's comfortable. But everything else about the kayak, it has so much space and none of it's functional for what I do. There's nowhere to put my cooler. There's nowhere to put my feet when you're fishing off the back. Everything under that standing deck gets soaking wet. You can either put the scuppers in, you're going to get water through the top hole, or you leave the scuppers out, you get water in it when you're running along. Because you don't have any room to put your cooler, you got to put it up on that front deck, which then messes with the stability a little bit because you got all that weight sitting up there. It's very slow because of the design of the front of the hull, which it does support the weight of the motor very well. That it does really well, but the sacrifice to that, the trade-off to that, by supporting the weight, you have to have a very wide, tall front of the kayak, and it just plows through the water, making it very slow. So there's a ton of things about it that I just didn't like, and that's no fault to Bonafide. They made a fine kayak. That kayak will suit a lot of people. If I just wanted to fish off the back of the kayak, like if I was one of these guys like my friend Ryan that pulls planer boards all the time, I promise you he will love this kayak. But fishing how I like to do, it's just not a good platform for me. And so it's just one of them life lessons, man. Try before you buy. You wouldn't buy a pair of shoes without trying them on first. You wouldn't buy a car without taking a test drive. Yet, my dumb ass bought a kayak without sitting in it. So, that's where we're at with it, man. Oh. Our live bait rod here on the right is getting a little antsy again. Hopefully y'all can see that. I'm still working on this kayak as far as how I want to mount rod holders and stuff. It's a goal of mine this winter to figure out a way to securely mount rod holders to this Hobie Lynx. You cannot drill into the hull. This thing is super lightweight, and the reason it's lightweight is because it's foam wrapped in plastic. It's a thin layer of plastic, so you can't drill into it, and there's no internal hatches or anything for you to like get up in there and secure a backing plate or anything like that. So it's kind of a challenge to mount rod holders in a secure enough fashion that would allow me to fish how you oftentimes see me fish in my catfish videos, where I'm suspending baits. Oh. Y'all holler at the heron here. These things are really kicking back there. Lively. Nothing's got them though. Nothing yet anyway. I don't think anyway. Nope. We'll get right up here, we'll make some casts. But anyway, this Lynx, I love it. I love everything about it. As much as I hate everything about the Bonafide, I love everything about this. This feels like an actual kayak. Actually feels different than an actual kayak, the way it kind of glides across the water. But man, you hook into something big with this thing, like down there shark fish in the ocean, you get a shark, turns and pulls you sideways, like man, you're doing a 360 in this thing and just spinning. It's awesome. I want to hook into a big catfish on this thing. That is my not so secret goal, is I want to hook a big cat on this thing, man. And so we got to figure out a way to either mount rod holders securely or change up how I fish. And you know, it's something I'm considering. You got two options in life, folks, and this is true whether it's something trivial like fishing out of a new kayak, or maybe it's something, a bigger life event. Maybe you're changing jobs. Maybe you're changing schools. When you go to something new, there's two options for you. You can either adapt to your new environment, or you can make the environment adapt to you. Now, for kayak purposes, I've always tried to make the kayak adapt to me, to make it do what I want it to do. And this kayak, that's going to be a challenge, just because of the fact that I can't drill into it. I'm very limited on how I can mount things. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge. So then I got thinking about, like, well, what if instead of me forcing this kayak to adapt to what I want it to do, what if I adapt my own style to better accommodate what this kayak is good at and what this kayak allows me to do? Would that negatively impact my catches, or would my catches go up? Because here's the thing, folks, and maybe you've experienced this in your own life. When you have success with something, it's hard to get away from it. You know, when you've done something and it works, there could be something that works way better. There could be something that's a better experience for you, that's more fun for you, but it's hard to go try something different when you know that what you've been doing works so well. And so that's kind of where I'm at with this. It's like I want to be able to securely mount rod holders because I know fishing how I have historically done is very effective and works well, and it's fun and I enjoy it. But it's possible there's a whole great big world out there in catfishing that I'm just not allowing myself to experience because I'm so rigid and set in my ways. And this kayak may give me an opportunity, if I will actually follow through with it, to branch out a little bit, do some different things, try some different things. And who knows, maybe it's a total bust. But maybe it's not. And so, I don't know, man. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about catching a big fish in this thing. I think it's going to be it's going to be so much fun hooking a big cat in this thing. It was a blast catching the sharks, at least the ones I was able to actually see. Some of them were so big I had no chance at it. But a big catfish, there's not a catfish big enough out here that I won't be able to get it in this thing. And so it'll be a fun time. It'll be a fun battle, man. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to try it out here today. I just want to work up through here first, pulling these live baits along. I want to make some cast right here on this shoreline with the ultralight. And we may not cast much here if the wind stays like it is, because right now the wind, we were protected back here in the back. But right out here we're exposed to the wind, and it's kind of picking up right through here. It's blowing pretty good. It may be difficult to hold our position and throw that ultralight, but we're going to try it a few times here. I want to put on some of them shad and make a cast over here right on top of the brush and just see. Got nothing to lose, folks, nothing to lose. All right, this is the ultralight rod that you all have seen me use a million times. St. Croix panfish rod, 2-pound line, 1/64 ounce jig head. Our shad here he's still kicking a little bit. Put a few too many in that bucket there. They don't last long. You need filtration, you need aeration. I'm not that concerned about it because, again, there's so many out here, we'll just catch more if we need to. Now we've still got our other baits behind us. I want to leave them out too while we make a cast or 2 or 3 or 10 over here. I'm just throwing it out. The shad on that jig head, the jig head's giving it some weight and taking him down. And he's kicking and flopping around on his own. He's providing the action for us. We don't have to do any of that. So I'm pretty much just casting him out, letting him sink down, and then slowly reeling him back to us a little bit. You can do it with dead shad too, but I think it's better when they're alive. Oh, we got something. Just like that, folks. Second cast over there off this tree. Let's see. Oh, looky here. Oh, yellow bass. Okay, that's some nice catfish bait right there. Look at him. Look at that. He's got that shad, folks. He's got it hanging out his mouth right there. Give me that. You know what? You can have it. You can have that thing. I'm gonna throw this one in the cooler, actually. Be careful here. We're gonna run over our trolling lines. All right, well that was interesting. Second cast with the shad. And we're already hooked up right there. Let's grab us another one. Again, this would be so much easier if we had a net, if you all had remembered to bring a net here with us today. That one there is, I believe, dead. No, he's still kicking a little bit. He's still kicking a little bit there. We'll make use of him. The reason I say you can throw out dead shad and do the same thing is kind of like us using the gulp minnow. You see me throwing my ultralight videos all the time. The gulp is soft, right? It's like it's a soft plastic, but you're just. We got another one. Oh, this is a bigger one right here. This is a bigger one. This is a bigger one right here, folks. I'm going to pedal this way, keep us from blowing up over here. I don't know what this is. This is a bigger fish right here. We got to take our time with this one, with the ultralight and the 2-pound line. I don't know what he is. Here, y'all reel in. Let's reel this one line in here. The light action rod and shad. I want to reel it in. We're going to run over it if we don't. Okay. I don't know what this is. Could be a cat, could be drum. I think if it was a bass, it would have probably come up by now, don't you? All right, well maybe instead of trolling, we need to be throwing these things over on the shoreline, right up on it. Oh, that is a bass right there, folks. Oh, that is a bass. That's a largemouth. That's a pretty good one too. Got him on the ultralight. Ultralight rod, 2-pound line, a 1/64 ounce size hook. Jig head and hook. We got that thing right there, a top lip, man. I did not think that was a bass. I did not think that was a bass, folks, the way he was fighting. I didn't think so. Let's put him on our board here if I can get him to lay on it. He don't want to lay down. Well, his mouth's open. He wouldn't count in a bass tournament, but he's about 16 inches right there. That's a nice largemouth, man. We could totally use him for some catfish bait, too. He's legal size to use. I should totally do it. I'm gonna hold off on it though. I'm gonna hold off. We're gonna have plenty of shad, and I got a feeling we're gonna catch a bunch of stuff today. Here's what I am gonna do though. This will make a heck of a thumbnail, won't it? I'm gonna hold him out like that. That's gonna be a thumbnail for us, folks. Nice. Get out of here, you old bass. Go on now. Nice, y'all. Nice, man. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this one reeled in for now. Let's leave our big shad out for the time being. Let me just put this up behind us. That way I'll have access to this rod holder again for setting our ultralight rod down. I want to throw, folks, I want to throw this ultralight rod here with live shad over there and see what else we can pull out. That's 2 fish pretty quick. Right there off that dang, tree. I can't talk and grab him shad and everything at the same time. I'm just gonna go through both lips because it don't matter. That thing's about dead anyway. All right, man. Let's run over here and do it again. Again, we got our big gizzard shad. He's still out over here behind us. Okay. Get him out of the way. Hard to manage 2 rods behind me while I'm casting over here, especially with the wind being so troublesome, I guess would be the word. Struggling with my words all of a sudden, y'all. I'm excited. I'm freezing, I'm cold, but I'm excited. My hands are real cold. If y'all would have brought a net to get them shad out of there, we'd been better off. I can't believe you forgot it. I think you forgot it on purpose. And here it is, Christmas. I believe y'all do that to me. Yeah, we're just gonna work these rocks right here. We might have should have been casting these shad all along these rocks all the way up through here. The bass is over there by that tree. And I'm just letting it sink down. He'll kick a little bit on the way down, and then I'm just slowly reeling him to me. Bringing him out, letting him fall. The shad, I don't really have to do much. The shad's doing it for me. Right here. Oh, something hit me. Something had hit me. He's still on there. This is one of them things. It's exciting in the fact that there's an anticipation. And I talk about this with the gulp sometimes, but literally anything could hit this shad. All these fish that are back here in this creek, they're working back here. They're eating the forage fish that are readily available to them. And when you've got these huge schools of threadfin shad, oh, something ripped me off just then. Right there at the kayak. But when you've got these huge schools of threadfin shad, like they're on the menu, like they're going to get eaten a lot. And so you can honestly catch about anything doing this, whether it's bass, catfish, drum, stripers. Like you've got a chance at literally everything. And don't let the size of the bait fool you either. How many big fish have we caught on them Catfish Sumo bait stalker flies that I have under my catfish rigs? Like that's a smaller presentation, right? And you catch a bunch of big fish on them things. I've caught a bunch of big fish on the Gulp Minnow, 1 inch, and it's smaller than these. So you throw this thing out there and you find yourself right place, right time, it's on. And we may have a battle, with the 2-pound line and ultralight rod, like it may be a bit of a challenge to land a big fish. We'll have to take our time, that's for sure. But we'll have a dang good time as we do it. I can't believe that largemouth though. He didn't fight like a largemouth. Most of the time they come up just jumping, you know, acrobatic, but I guess because it's so cold, they're a little bit lethargic probably. He probably, that's what probably caused him to stay down. I thought it might have been a catfish or a drum the way he was fighting. Definitely surprised me. I apologize if you got a rustling sound on the microphone, y'all. I know my jacket's kind of right there at the microphone. Unfortunately, I cannot ditch the jacket today. Gonna need this thing for sure today. Oh, something nailed me. Let it sink back down, maybe hit it again. I was reeling that thing kind of fast, move it back to me, and something hit him. We could certainly put these under a bobber too. A lot of people, I'm sure, are probably wondering that. Just like a minnow under a bobber, you can do a shad under a bobber. But I'd rather put it on a jig head and let that thing sink down. And of course, you could also too use just a small hook and put a little piece of split shot. There's no right or wrong answer. The jig head, it's what I have, it's easy. We break off, we tie another jig head on. If you break off with a hook and a split shot, you got to tie the hook on and then crimp the split shot. Like it's a 2-step process versus a 1-step process with this. But it's not a big deal either way. Both are super effective. You'll find people that like both. There's some brush right over here along this bank, and I can't tell you exactly where it's at without a graph, but we make enough casts over through there, we'll find it. We'll figure it out, folks. Don't know what, if anything, will be over there on that brush. Oh, that something hit me then. But I'm inclined to believe there could be something after us having caught that bass, and usually the yellow bass especially, like they're a schooling fish. Like they're not one to be alone. Could be, I've caught crappie over here in the past. There's usually too a lot of bluegill on this brush, and I'd be willing to bet you a nickel if we threw out a gulp minnow, 1-inch gulp on this 1/64 ounce jig head, we would probably catch some bluegill for sure off this brush. But throwing the shad on there that are, I don't know how big they are, probably 2.5, 3 inches long, these shad are. It's gonna be difficult for say a 5 or 6 inch bluegill to eat this shad and get the hook. Like we might feel them nipping at it and hitting it, but I seriously doubt they're going to be able to get the entire shad in their mouth and get the hook too. Now, if we throw the 1-inch gulp, it's significantly smaller. They could easily eat that in the hook and we could catch them. But I really expect we're going to catch a lot less numbers today doing this, but I think we got a much better chance using the live shad as far as catching largemouth. Oh, we got something right here. Something. I think we got a better chance at catching better quality, like whatever this is. This is another one. I don't know what it is. Oh, he's gonna go under us here. He's running up under us, folks. Get him out from under there. Don't let him get in our rudder or pedal drive now, or that other line back there. I wonder what this is. Oh, he's in our other line. Dadgubbit. It's all right. We'll work it out here in a minute. I want to see what this thing is. I have no idea. It could be another bass. It feels like a good fish, especially for an ultralight rod. I'm not feeling him rolling. I don't think it's a cat. Well, it shows what I know. It is a cat. Y'all need to start betting me. Bet me that nickel, by gosh. Bet me that nickel when I make a prediction, because I'm probably going to be wrong. Get in there. Let's see what this is. A blue or it's a channel? Oh, channel cat. I hate these old things. If I told you lately, I hate these, even on Christmas. 'Tis the season, channel cat, and I still don't like you. If you'd open your mouth up, let me get the pliers on him, so we don't hopefully bend our hook here. I can't get to a hold of that thing. Come on, there we go. All right, old channel cat. Let's hope that's the last one of the day. We don't want to see that thing ever. At least he come out of my other line back there. That was kind of him. Let's get our net moved, and then we're going to work our way back over here. The wind's going to blow us around a little bit. Still swimming a little bit. Every time I get my hands dried off, y'all make me get them wet again by dipping them down in that water. I got me some. This is a Christmas present, not this year, but I don't know how long I've had them. 2 or 3 years, I reckon. But I just never got around to using them. But it's electronic hand warmers. Now, I've got some with me today. And when we start catfishing, I'm gonna turn them things on and warm my hands up. I think our live gizzard's wrapped around our rudder back there. I'm not gonna fool with him right now. I wanna make a few more casts right over here before we move on. I'm gonna tell them what we're gonna pull out of here. We've now got yellow bass, channel cat, and a largemouth all off this one little area right here. And it's possible too, with our big gizzard shad back there, something could come up and snatch him. We got something right here. Right here we got him. He was not down there long at all. See what this is. Oh boy, another yellow bass. That's another one right there. That's another pretty good one too. We're gonna throw him in the cooler as well. We're gonna get us some bait today, man. I don't know if we'll find any catfish willing to eat it, but you know what? We'll take it with us. We'll have it for next time. All right, buddy. Get us switched around here. One of the things, hold on a second, y'all. We got, like I said, I've been home damn near 3 weeks, ain't filmed a video yet. I didn't have my battery pack plugged in. That'd help our calls greatly. Okay. One of the things about having live bait is that just about every fish you catch you're going to have to replace your bait. And so it's not the most efficient method of fishing from a time perspective. Certainly with the gulp minnow, I get, I don't know, 10 fish on average per gulp minnow versus a live shad here, we're going to get 1 fish per. So you're going to end up being able to make more casts throughout the day with your artificial than you are the live bait. But I do think there's a better opportunity for us to catch larger size fish with the live bait than an artificial. I do think that to be true. Not to say that you can't with the artificial, because I've certainly done it a lot. Got the receipts, man. Got the videos to prove it. But typically, you're throwing out a live shad or something, you're going to get a little better quality fish than you are with the artificial. There's a reason why the big bass tournaments, the boat tournaments, there's a reason why they don't allow live bait, because it's just more effective. It would be interesting though if they did, wouldn't it? Can you imagine if the kind of bags they would bring in, if they would allow live bait in the bass tournaments? Now, some of you out there, you probably say, well, Justin, some of them guys using live bait out there anyway. They probably are. I'd say some of them using live bait, some of them's got fish pinned up in cages and stuff and go get them. That kind of stuff happens. That's going to happen with any kind of tournament, on a small level anyway. I certainly don't think it's widespread, everybody doing it, but there's probably a small percentage of people in tournaments that are doing unethical things. But man, I bet you if the bass tournaments would allow, it would be, I mean, like, even if they didn't want to do it all the time, I get it. You got lure manufacturers sponsoring the tournaments and stuff. You got to cater to them. But like, if they would put one tournament a year on their trail where live bait was allowed, people didn't have to use it, but it was allowed if you wanted to. You know the ratings they would get for that? Just curiosity, people wanting to tune in to see how it would compare. Like, the ratings would be amazing, and they're in the ratings game, right? Like, they got their TV shows and their live streams and stuff. Like, they're trying to get eyes on their product. That would be a good way to do it. Because I promise you people, I'd be interested. I don't have any interest in watching a bass fishing tournament whatsoever. But I would tune in to that just to see the kind of fish they pulled out of there with the live bait. I would totally watch. But I don't get to make the rules, folks. Nobody cares what old Justin here wants. Not even these fish over here. They don't care what I want. They just want that shad on the hook. That's what they're after. You know it, and I know it. I think we should have been throwing this. I think we should have been throwing this along the shoreline the whole way up through here, folks. I'm half tempted to run back there and especially them trees that we trolled by. Like, I thought maybe bringing them shad right along the edge of them trees as we trolled up through here might get us something. But now I'm wondering, like, if we threw these shad into those trees, that might have been the better play. And them things are just right there behind us. Y'all got me talked into doing it before we move on. How long have we been at this now? Oh, we've just been at this a little over an hour. It's hardly no time at all. It feels longer because it's so damn cold. Yeah, we may do that. It'd help me get out of the wind a little bit. Then we'll, oh, right here. I felt him thump it. Oh, there he goes. Oh, it's another big yellow bass. That's another big yellow bass right there. We could certainly put one of these things on alive too. Oh, not that one. He just spit the hook right there and dang near put the jig in me, man. Y'all done lost that one right here at the side of the kayak. I don't know how you's done it. Let's get you another shad right here. Most of them's floating up there at the top. They dead. We need to reload. Need to switch out that water and reload with some new ones. The wind is pushing us right up on the bank right now. I'm gonna just toss this out behind us. Pedal into the wind a little bit here. It's coming down from this direction. So when we're around the corner there, we were kind of shielded from it. And I'm wondering, on the other side over here, this creek branches, like there's another branch that goes down over yonder there, and I'm wondering what the wind looks like back there. Just working this thing right here behind us for a second though. And the wind is going to be, it's not going to be so much a challenge to fish in today as it is just for me to, because I'm a pansy in the cold, it's going to be a challenge for me to deal with the wind as I get colder and colder out here today. That's going to be the big shot. My body is still acclimated to Florida. Even though I've been home damn near 3 weeks, I've not been outside in this much. I've tried to cherry pick my days of when I've went out on the water to be a little bit warmer days, at least in the 50s. But a day like today, you know, again, today's, I don't know, 19th, 20th or something like that. My next video in the queue was coming out the 22nd, and that's it. That's the last video I have from Florida. And I'm like, I got to get after this, man. Like, I gotta get on the ball here, or I'm gonna disrupt my schedule. So we out here grinding today, and in weather colder than what I would like to ideally be in. But thankfully, these fish are at least making it enjoyable. It's one thing to be cold, but it's another thing to be cold and at least be catching some fish. And I had one. Something hit me. See if he comes back for it. I'm into it, man, because again, you just don't know. You don't know what's about to hit this thing. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn this around right quick. Because the way the wind's pushing, I'm gonna try to get this thing, our gizzard shad here. I'm gonna figure out what the heck he's wrapped up in here. I honestly don't know what he's wrapped up in. Lord Almighty, y'all, he is. I guess when we went backwards earlier, we got him all up under our paddle and stuff over here on the kayak. Or got the line all up under the kayak. I mean, hell, I can't get my words out. You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say here. Now I got this. There we go. There we go. Now we're back in business, folks. Let's find our gizzard shad. Let's see if he's even still on. I have no idea where the heck he's at. Is he in our pedals? He don't know where he's at either. What a mess. This whole day's been a cluster thus far. Okay. What's going on now? We got the rod around the line around the rod tip. I can't get my words out. You can see I'm out of practice on these videos. What's going on now? There we go. Okay. Okay. So we got our line undone here finally. Oh, that was a big splash over there. Did you see that? Did you see that? That was a big splash. We got our gizzard shad hung in something. Here's what we got going on now. Let me try to get him free. I'm gonna get a mess today is what I'm gonna get. Let's see what the hell he's got hung in out here. I really should be just having these out when we're actively moving. That way we can keep control of our lines better. When I'm just working around right in through here and, you know, casting and the wind's blowing us sideways and stuff, this is a recipe for getting hung, which is what we've done. Okay, there it comes. Well, so I thought, okay, well, guess what? Good news is, bad news is we're hung in this brush. The good news is we found the brush pile. We know where it's at now. Because I felt it come out of one branch and go into another right here. So we've probably spooked everything on it, but we'll hit this brush pile again right here later when fish come back into it. Because it was farther out here than what I remembered it being, or it could just be a new brush pile too. What a mess, y'all. Y'all have watched me botch cast net throws, miss fish, and now you watching me struggle to break this line right here. I need to wrap this around something. One thing about this Hobie Lynx that makes it a bit of a challenge with heavy line is you tend to pull the kayak toward. There we go. Broke my whole leader off on that. You tend to pull the kayak toward the obstruction. Like you just can't, this kayak's so lightweight and glides so easily across the water. Like it's hard. It's hard to be able to get leverage on anything. Now I think we're ready to fish again after all that. I guarantee you whatever was in that brush pile, we spooked everything out of it. I am a mess today, folks. This is not going to be a pretty fishing performance today. Thankfully, I'm not the least bit embarrassed about it because y'all have seen me make a fool of myself numerous times. So it just is what it is. Out of practice, I guess. The whole Florida trip was a cluster, man. I messed up so many times. I had so much fun. Like I mean, the trip was a blast. I enjoyed myself so much down there, but golly bum, it was just one mistake after another, after another, after another. Like I just kept having things go wrong, and it's apparently continuing home now as well. That's okay. As long as we're having fun, we're staying upright. That's all that matters, folks. I definitely don't want to go for a swim today. Too cold for that. That turtle we caught in the cast net probably don't want to go no swim either. Was that today, or am I thinking about another day? I'm having a total brain cramp. Did I catch a turtle in a cast net today? Or was that the last time that I threw the cast net? I'm having a damn brain cramp here. Either way, recently, whether it was today or on a recent, maybe it's the last time I went out, I caught a turtle in the cast net, and it's too cold for turtles right now, and I guess I threw over the top of where he was mudded down, and I was like, he's gonna have a cold swim back to get where he's going. I'm just out of sorts, man. I can't remember nothing. It's like me trying to remember to bring that dip net for the minnows too. I'm forgetful. I got to get my act together. Get me some ginkgo biloba. What I need to do is get back down there and get some saltwater therapy. I need to just go back to Florida. I was worried. I had, you know, I filmed a bunch of videos down there in Florida. I think I filmed 8 of them. And I was worried that many Florida videos being kind of off-brand for my channel. I was worried it wouldn't go well. I mean, I thought 1 or 2 might do okay, but I didn't think necessarily all of them would do very good. I was very concerned about it. But man, those Florida videos did great for me. All the ones that have come out so far anyway. Got 1 left to go as of me filming this video. But like, they've done really well, and I'm thinking, man, I just need to go back. I had so much fun, it was warm. If I can talk my girlfriend into it, like, we need to get back down there. I'd be content with that. Fishing down there in the cold, when it's cold here. Fishing up here when it's blazing hot there. That'd be the life, man. Oh. Something had hit me and ripped me off. He stole that shad right off your hook there, folks. Let's try to get us this one right here that's still alive. Yeah, that right there's still alive. He's a little one. I got a feeling he's going to get gobbled up quick over here, folks. The wind's blowing us up. That's a little one right there. Just throw him right up on that shoreline right there as we back off of here. I want to work right down here, right them trees that we were working the edge of up through here. I want to work right back down there to them, right fast before we take off, catfishing and stuff. Let's see what happens. I got a feeling with the fish we're catching right up here on this brush, we may get some more. We may get some big ones down here. I think it's worth a shot. Since it's right here, and I think we're going to be kind of tucked out of the wind a little bit, I think it's worth a shot. I think it's getting cloudier. We're supposed to maybe get some rain, some snow flurries this afternoon. I was hoping it was going to come later on or after I left, but we may get a little wet out here today, folks. And if that happens, me and you may go to the house a little early. I've got my rain gear on, but I ain't trying to sit out here and get soaked right now. Hopefully it'll hold off, but I swear I think it's getting a little cloudy. Oh, I thought we had one right there. Sometimes I think maybe them shad give a little surge, and on this ultralight it kind of feels like a bite in itself. Actually, I think that was a bite, because Hook's kind of messed up on there. Yeah, hopefully Santa Claus was good to you all. Christmas, as an adult, you get underwear, a gift box set of Old Spice. You're gonna get a Whitman sampler. The older people in the audience, those of you with grandkids, y'all are most likely the ones to get the old Whitman sampler fish. Not anymore. He come free. Stole our bait. Here's another one of them little ones right here. He's dead, but I'm gonna throw him over there. The Whitman sampler, I don't know why that it hasn't caught on year round. But you never see a Whitman sampler outside of the Christmas season. Now at Christmas, you go to the drugstore, Walgreens, CVS. I don't usually go to the drugstore, but I make a trip this time of year because I'm gonna have to have pictures printed off. But you'll see a display out there with the old Whitman sampler, and they'll have all them luxury chocolates, and I'll eat a handful if I have access to one. Get me 2 or 3 of them fancy chocolates that you don't know what they are. You have no idea what you're biting into. Only time of the year, though. I just can't believe that hasn't caught on like year round. I don't even know how much a Whitman sampler costs these days. I actually can't even remember the last time I had any chocolates from a Whitman sampler. My grandparents are long gone. And so it's probably been since they were alive that I would have had a Whitman sampler chocolate box. Nobody turns down, though. Nobody's going to turn down a chocolate from the Whitman sampler. Nobody. It's one of those things. I don't know that people are actively buying them, but if you have access to one, somebody opens up that box and you see all them little chocolates there individually wrapped, you're not going to say no. Nobody ever in the history of the world has said no. It's like the old commercial. You remember the Lay's potato chips commercial? Nobody can eat just one. It's like that with the Whitman sampler. But it really is. Nobody can eat just one. With the Lay's potato chips, like, I may pass by a bowl of potato chips and not even eat any of them. The Whitman sampler, I'm at least going to have something. Here comes that wind again. Here comes a fish too, by gosh. Oh. Gone. I need to put this hood up over my head, y'all. I got hold that rod between my legs there, y'all. That's perverse saying that. That ain't what I meant. That ain't what I meant, you perverts. I had to get that hood up over my head. There's a fish. We got him hooked that time. He hit me before. Ate that dead shad right there. He's a digging too, buddy. As we just get pushed along here. Oh, another yellow bass. That's another big one. Oh, buddy. Look at this. Look how thick he is, man. These things, folks, man, they're a good catfish bait. They are prickly fish, though. Them dorsal fin spines right there and their pectoral fins, buddy, they will stick you something good, buddy. They will do some damage if they get hold of you. That wind, buddy, has pushed us plumb off of here. It ain't an efficient day. We're not working efficiently down through here, but we are catching some fish, and that's the goal. I wanted to catch a little bit of everything out here today with us. Let me grab this one right here. I want that little one right there. with us casting right now, instead of trolling, we're gonna have to do one rod with this wind. And we may, if the wind keeps like this, I thought we'd be, when we tucked in here, maybe when we go on down it won't be as bad. It's blowing hard right now though. We may have to go back to trolling just so that we can effectively fish. We dropped down that catfish bait on bottom. I can kind of pump my legs and face us into the wind, hold us in place when it gusts and move us along. It's going to be hard to troll without being able to monitor speed. With trolling these live shad, it don't matter so much. I'm looking for half mile an hour to a mile an hour. Not an exact science, but with catfish, I definitely want to keep it slow. I want to keep it half a mile an hour or less right now. I don't know what the water temperatures are, but with our nighttime temps in the 20s, I'm sure it's really dropped quickly. So I'm sure. Oh man, I just threw that thing off. Terrible cast. See, I let you all cast the rod right there and you fling the bait off the hook. Heck of a job there you just done. Every time I give you all the rod, this is what happens. All right, let's get us another one right here. That they're still alive. Let's get him. There we go. Well, I really want to work this shoreline right down through here, all the way down to them trees, but the wind don't want us doing it apparently. These fish called Mother Nature. They called the Mother Nature hotline and they said, wind, I want you to blow, kind of change directions to blow right down through here right now until Justin moves on. And Mother Nature said, Merry Christmas, fish. I'm gonna help you out. I think there's some fish right out here though. I mean, we got bit, and we got that yellow bass. Thumb's bleeding too. But we got bit, and then we got the yellow bass, and so those yellow bass are they're a schooling fish. You get one, there's probably more. And that's pretty good quality yellow bass that we just got there, folks. That's a nice yellow bass, so I want to battle some more of them if I can. I'm wondering with the wind blowing this way, give us a little tap. I'm wondering though if the wind's blowing this way now, if that other branch over there is calm. Like if it's more suitable for us. We're gonna go over there at some point. We're gonna find out. Unfortunately, right now, there's one of me, and there's about 3 places out here I want to be fishing at the same time. So we can do one at a time. Let's keep making our way down through here, though. Let's work these trees real quick. And then we might make another throw with the cast net, change out our water here, and get us some more shad that are better condition. I just don't care, but I mean, some people probably make a big deal out of having shad in good condition, but I mean, ideally we're wanting to imitate a dying shad, right? Dying shad that's been separated from its school. So the fact that the shad are dying in that bucket, it's kind of on par with what we're trying to represent. So as long as they're moving a little bit or just freshly dead and haven't started to get stiff and turned, because sometimes if If they've been dead a little while, and maybe you got them in your cooler, or maybe they're on the deck of your kayak or boat, and they're like they got a curve to them when they die. Well, you go to cast them out and reel them in, they'll spin in the water. It'll be like a helicopter type motion, right? But if they're straight, or they're freshly dead and they're still pliable, they'll pull through the water real good. So as you're working it back to you, letting that thing fall down there with the jig head, I mean, it looks like a dying shad, even though it's already dead. Getting spun sideways again here. I'm gonna try to turn us here. It's hard to turn when the wind's got you on your side right there. I just want to run down here, right here in these trees, and make a cast or two. The wind's definitely changed directions, though, for sure. We wasn't getting hit with it much back here when we started. Now it's really blowing down through here. We're gonna make it work, though. We got a positive attitude and a will to succeed, so we're gonna make it work, folks. There's all kinds of these trees right here that just stick out. And some of these trees may not have a damn thing on them. You may fish 5, 6 of these trees down through here and not be a single fish, and then you'll come across one of them that's just loaded. And I'd like to see if that situation's happening right now. If we throw that net, though, as cold as my hands already are, oh man, it's going to get much colder. I would like to have some more. I would like to have some more shad. I'd really like to have something just a little bit smaller than what we got, but this is the size that's out here, so. It's not as bad here right now. We'll hopefully be able to work these trees real good. And then we'll fish our way out. Well, we may just run over there to the branch, go to the very back of it. I think there's some people fishing off the bank here at the bridge back here. So we'll go to the other side over there at some point here in a little bit. Run to the back of it, and probably what I'll do is throw out the catfish bait then on a dragging rig. And we'll pull from back there real shallow out. And then eventually, as we're done with that, work our way out maybe to the deeper part of this creek. See if there's some cats out there staged up or something. You know, in the winter months, I find it very difficult to fish. And it's my fault. Because I'm a complete pansy in the winter and I don't like being cold, I don't fish as much. And because I don't fish as much, it's hard for me to pattern a bite, pattern a depth, pattern a type of bait that fish are feeding on. Like, it's hard for me to figure that out, because if I go out, let's say we got on some fish today and I think I know something, and then I don't end up fishing for 2, 3, 4 days again, well, the time I come out again the next time, whatever bite I figured out is changed, and you got to start all over. And it's hard to just get that consistency when I'm being inconsistent with how often I'm fishing. And then you throw in the fact that the weather this time of year, it's always changing. Especially here at East Tennessee, man. We might have one day where it's 50 degrees and the next day the high might be 30. It's one front after another. This a fish? Y'all, we caught a shad with our shad. Let's take this one off. Let's take the dead one off, and let's put Let's put the live one on. We caught a shad with our shad. Can't make this stuff up, folks. But the weather, of course, is always changing, and that's fluctuating the water temps. And throw in some rain. One day you might come out and water clarity is fairly clear, and then, you know, we just had some rain here recently, so this water here in this creek's all muddied up. You just never know what you're getting day to day. It's so hard to get any kind of consistency going on, and I just struggle. I'm just not. And I'm the first to admit, I don't hide it. Like, I'm just not a very good wintertime fisherman. I'd like to say I'll get better at it at some point, but the fact is I probably won't, because I don't enjoy being cold. I love fishing. I love catching fish. I don't like being cold. You people up north that go ice fishing and stuff, don't know how I guess some of y'all got them fancy shanties, tents, whatever they are. Some of yous out there, you got heaters in them things. So I guess if you got a heater and a TV set and all that, and you just sitting out there watching the ball game, waiting on for the little ice fishing flag to stand up, maybe that would be more tolerable. I still have no desire to do it, but it might be more tolerable from just a comfort perspective. There goes that old heron. You made him mad. Yeah, I told you he was going to make that heron mad. Just like that turtle that I cannot remember for the life of me. Was that today or the last time I threw the net? It bothers me about that turtle, y'all. I caught that damn turtle and cast it. I just can't remember. That happened. I know that happened. In my mind, I just can't remember. Was it an hour ago or last time? Somebody's calling me too on my phone here. Y'all tell them we're busy. You tell them we're busy. We got fish to catch. We ain't got time to be doing no phone calling here. If I even tried to get in my pocket to get that phone out, the way my fingers feel, I'd probably fumble finger it and end up dropping it overboard. And I don't know if y'all notice this too, but I struggle with this. If my fingers are real cold, I can't hardly operate my phone. I don't know. I guess maybe it's just they're not designed for that, but you would think people's hands get cold, they'd be prepared for it. Maybe I just got a bad phone. I don't know. I bet Santa Claus probably brought some of y'all a new phone this year. I bought myself a present for Christmas. It ain't got here yet. It won't be here till January. But it wasn't a drone, I'll tell you that. Learned my lesson. Learned my lesson with the drone. It's actually a pretty dumb thing. And I can't believe I'm still going through this. For some reason this year, I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if it's just psychologically I'm going through something. I don't know what my problem is. But I've been going through a midlife crisis this year. And it's caused me to get nostalgic. Like childhood nostalgic. And so back in the summer, somehow or another, I got on the topic of G.I. Joes, which was my favorite childhood toy. The phones listen in to everything I say, of course, and then start targeting me with ads based on the conversation. You know this to be true. You've experienced it, guarantee it. And so I start seeing toy stuff, and the next thing you know, I'm watching YouTube videos on G.I. Joes, and then they got the new G.I. Joes out, these larger 6-inch figures, very realistic. And the next thing you know, I'm buying one and buying two. We've lost our Shad off there. And then I go to that Ollie's store, which is a discount. I don't even know what you would really, I don't know what you would really call Ollie's. I want that one right there. It's like a closeout type store. Like they get merchandise from other stores. It's like name brand stuff, but I guess it's stuff that the other stores can't sell. And so they buy the pallet loads of it and then sell it on their stores at a big discount. So like one week you might go in and there might be, I don't know, pick your Downy fabric softener or something real cheap, or Campbell's soup real cheap. And they get shipments in all the time. Well, I go in there, I'm looking around. They got a big toy department. And I guess a bunch of the toys that they can't sell at retail stores, Walmarts and places like that, Ollie's gets them and marks them down drastically. So they had a Ric Flair, Nature Boy Ric Flair action figure for $3.99. At Walmart, they're $20.97. At Ollie's, $3.99. And I'm like, it's Ric Flair. I got to get Ric Flair. And it's called WWE Superstars figures. They're like He-Man. They're like a similar body style to He-Man from the 80s. And they've got a bunch of the different wrestlers from like my childhood. Ric Flair, Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, right? Like there's a bunch of them from my childhood in this He-Man style action figure. Well, I buy that Ric Flair. And of course I'm gonna open him up. I'm gonna take him out of the package. Well, I'm playing, but you can't play with just one wrestler. You gotta have another. Well, my girlfriend went to a different Ollie's. There's two of them in my area. And she found Bam Bam Bigelow. Again, for $3.99. The Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow. And I get him. And of course I open him up out of the package and it's awesome. And the next thing you know, folks, I am down the rabbit hole. I am buying these figures. Like I had gotten completely away from going to Walmart at all. Like I hate Walmart. I even talked about earlier in the year how I had gotten away from going to Walmart. Like I get my dog food at Chewy.com website. I get my groceries at Aldi's. Like I don't. Let's go back around here to that brush pile. We ain't catching nothing down through here on these trees. I don't want to go over there to the bridge because there's somebody over there fishing. So we'll fish up here on this brush. And then we'll run back to that other branch of this creek. We'll throw a net back there, get us some fresh shad back there in the back of it. And then we'll fish our way out of it and pull a catfish bait out. But anyway, I go down the rabbit hole with these damn things, and it's got me going back to Walmart because these He-Man style figures, the WWE Superstars, it is a Walmart exclusive. Now you can find them on like Amazon and eBay and places like that, but it's from third-party sellers. So usually the price is more expensive. To get the normal retail price, you've got to go to Walmart. And so here I am because I'm into these damn things. If I go out of town or something, I got to pick up some snacks. I'll just swing by Walmart, and while I'm there, I'm going to look at the toy department and see if they have any wrestlers I can't live without. So I've been buying these damn wrestlers that I don't need. I have no reason to buy these things other than the fact that I'm going through a midlife crisis and I'm reliving my childhood. So anyway, fast forward, I've been buying these things for a few months. And it's Christmas time rolling around, and I'm thinking, well, Justin, what do you want this year? And these, again, it's a He-Man style a He-Man style figure. But there's other companies making them as well. I guess like WWE, it was WWF when I was a kid. I guess they've got deals with certain wrestlers to make their figures. I just threw that shad off. I just threw that thing plumb off the hook. There's one right there, it's still alive. I'll get that one now. It's because he's easier to get to. Actually, this one right here is a little bit, this one right here looks pretty good. Let's throw him on there. But anyway, there's other companies making these things. They have different deals with wrestlers. And I saw, because again, YouTube, the algorithms, they listen in our phones and they target us with ads. And so I see these figures from another company that's similar in body style, the He-Man style, but offering different wrestlers. And this one company, they've got a pre-order up. They're coming out in January, but they've got the Rock and Roll Express. That's right, folks. From the 80s, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express, my childhood, and they've got them in the He-Man style figures. I'm like, I gotta place that order. So I did. So I got the pre-order in. It's supposed to be here in January. Then there's another company making a similar style figures, and they had the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, with the shoulder pads, with the spikes and everything. And I'm like, I gotta get that. So, y'all, for Christmas this year, I have bought myself toys. I know that sounds so stupid. It sounds stupid coming out of my mouth. I am for sure going through some kind of midlife crisis. I don't know what. I thought it would pass by now, but we're about 6 months into it. I'm still going through it. And yeah, I've bought now some wrestling figures, none of which have arrived. Again, the Rock and Roll Express, supposed to arrive sometime in January. I guess they were doing the pre-order thing to see how many sales they were going to get, to see how many to order. I don't know. I don't know anything about this particular company. Mattel makes the WWE Superstars line, and I've heard of them at least, like they're a well-known toy company. These other two companies that's making the Rock and Roll Express and they're making the Road Warriors, I've never heard of them before. So anyway, Rock and Roll Express pre-order, supposed to be here in January, and the Road Warriors, I think, will be at my house when I get home today. They have shipped, they are on the way. I mean, shoulder pads with the spikes and everything, they look awesome. All of these figures look awesome. And I had He-Man as a kid. I've actually bought a He-Man and a Skeletor to set up in my office at the house, because they've come back out with them as well now too. But these He-Man style wrestling figures, those didn't exist when I was a kid, at least not WWE version. I had the LJN figures, which were the big rubber type figures. But apparently there was a company called Remco, and this would have been, I saw these online. I never saw them as a kid. They apparently come out in the early to mid 80s. So I'm not sure why I didn't know about them or why I didn't have them as a kid, because Lord knows I had a bunch of toys and stuff as a kid, but I never knew about them. But this company called Remco made some He-Man style body type wrestling figures. There was Ric Flair, I think there was the Road Warrior, Kurt Hennig, a few guys, that I remember from the 80s, but I didn't have the figures and I didn't even know anything about them. But They're that He-Man style, and I guess, oh, did you see that right there? Oh, something's getting chased right here. Let's throw, that looked like a big surface eruption right there, folks. Ho, ho, ho. Yes, sir. They're over here behind us now. They're over here behind us. Something got me. Something got me. There's more busting right here. Something's got me right here where I'm at, though. Ate that dead shad. Boy, he's a pulling too. Oh, it's another good yellow bass. Yep, that's another one we're just going to go ahead and just bring on up here. Is that your friends over there making that commotion, yellow bass? Was that them or was it something else? Well, my thumb right there just won't quit bleeding. I don't know how I done that. Sorry for the sniffles, y'all. My face is cold. All right. Nice. Man, that is awesome. I love catching yellow bass on the Ultralight. I love it from just a personal enjoyment perspective, and also the fact that they make a good catfish bait. I promise you, we're going to do some catfishing in a little while, folks. We're coming back up through here. I'm like, how the hell do I not make a few more casts right here? Oh, did I just throw that thing off the hook? No, it's still on there. Didn't get it anywhere close to that bank though. But yeah, y'all, I'm going through it, man. I've had a midlife crisis. I've got me some wrestling figures. They're sitting on my desk in there. I've got a ring. Occasionally, it's hard for me to play with a toy like I did as a kid. But I'll admit, I got a ring for them, and I have had Hulk Hogan body slam Andre the Giant. I have had Bam Bam Bigelow jump off the top rope and do a flying headbutt onto Ric Flair. Like, I've done it, man. I've done it. I've been looking too. They just come out. Well, it was like October or November. So they've been out a while. They come out with a new series of the WWE superstars in the Walmarts. And I don't know why I'm talking about this. Y'all don't give a damn about it, but here we go. We're talking about my midlife crisis. But they come out with 3 new figures: a Cactus Jack, Bret the Hitman Hart, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. I found Cactus Jack. I got him. Sure enough, I did. And it's awesome. I have not found Bret Hart or Jim the Anvil Neidhart yet. A lot of people that collect these figures, a lot of nerds is what they are, but I'm apparently one of them now. They're having problems with this Walmart line because it's a Walmart exclusive. You got to go to Walmart to get them, right? Well, apparently the distribution of these figures, it's all jacked up. Like, you go to one Walmart, they might have all Hulk Hogan. You go to another Walmart, it might be all Doink the Clown or something. Like, they're not, all the Walmarts aren't getting all of the figures. And I can kind of understand that if it was a situation where, like, they want you going to multiple stores to collect the whole set. Like, I could kind of get it, but here's the problem. That's not, I don't think that's their intention. Because the problem with that is, it's like, yeah, one store might have all Hulk Hogan, and the next store might have all Ric Flair. But that next Walmart that might have one of those figures from the set might be on the other side of the country. Like, like there's some figures people are saying, I got in one of these Facebook groups. That's how big of a nerd I've become. I got in one of these Facebook groups about these forums. Or it's like a forum for these figures. People build figures and stuff, like they're total nerds. But they'll be talking like, I'll read their comments and stuff, and like one person says, well, I can't find Vader anywhere. I've been all over my state, can't find Vader. And the next person will chime in like, we got a ton of Vaders here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Like, you just find them, they'll be like, all the figures will get sent to one geographic region, and the next geographic region will get one of the other figures instead of just sending them all a set of figures. Makes no damn sense. So I'm currently on the lookout for Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart right now. And if my midlife crisis continues, when I find them, I'll probably pick them up. All right, folks, let's make one or two more casts right over here again on this brush. And then I think we're going to put our other big gizzard shad on that's still alive in that bucket there. We're going to throw him on behind us maybe. Something busted right there beside us. I'm going to make a cast or two over here though, this brush. Especially that brush that we found, that we got our other gizzard shad hung in. It's been, some time has passed now, and whatever we spooked over there has probably made its way back to that brush. So we'll just go over here and make a cast or two. Then we're going to run back to that other branch, see what the wind's doing over there. Try to maybe net us some more shad. Then I want to start trolling. I want to start trolling because my hands are freezing cold and I want to stick them in my pockets. But I want to put a catfish bait on, and I want to troll from the back of that branch out. And I just threw that shad off all the way out to the mouth. That's what I want to do. I want to see what we can get with that thing. And while we're trolling that catfish bait, I think I will, when we get some more smaller shad, I'll probably put out the other light action rod with the 2 jig heads on it, and we'll troll it up near the top of the water, and we'll troll our catfish rig on the bottom, and we'll do a kind of top and bottom, just cover the water column. It's being more active, though, than, when we first got on the water here today. I was looking around. I didn't really see, you see a shad flip here and there, but you wasn't seeing fish busting them. But when we got out here to this area, we've seen them fish kind of running them shad a couple times. And Lord knows we've caught several fish now with the yellow bass and largemouth, channel cat and stuff. So there's some activity going on. Like there's some feeding happening here. So if we come across some catfish, it's possible we're going to bust one. Now we're going to have to be a little bit different. I'm going to run my normal dragging setup, but we're going to have to really come off the drag. We're going to have to, folks, because these rod holders here I've got on this kayak, like they can't handle the torque. Like that's it's not going to work out well. Thought we had hit right there, but I'm just going to make some casts right out here a little bit farther away where we had got hung on that brush there earlier. I remember there's brush pile here. I've seen it with live scope before. I just can't remember exactly where it's at without it being on a screen. Get spun around here. Can't get spun. Tell you, that wind hits you on the side. It's hard to turn very quickly in a kayak, because kayaks always want to spin into the wind. I got to tell y'all some stories too about my trip home and what them damn cats have done while I was gone down there. I told my channel members this. So I've done some videos for my channel members since I've been home. I just haven't been able to, when I've been out trying to film on the water since I've been home, I just ain't done any good. Today's the most action I've had as far as numbers of fish goes. Like I've caught some fish while I've been out, but nothing. It's you catch a small fish and wait an hour and a half, you get another small fish. That's pretty much how it's been going for me since I got back home. The few times I've been out, so it just ain't been worth posting a video for. If I'm going to post a video, I want you to be entertained. I want to provide you a real fishing experience, but I also want you to be entertained. So I don't want to post a skunk video or a day where I get 2 or 3 just tiny catfish, something like that. At least want some substance to it. All right, last cast with this shad here. We're gonna take off. I'm gonna let this sink down a little bit right here. I'll try to work down into that brush if I can. That shad's, it's dead, but again, it's freshly dead, so when we're pulling it along, it's the same size, same flash, same color, same everything that these fish are, that they're actively feeding on right now. Okay. All right, well, we got several fish here. We've got us some baits in the cooler. We've still got 1 live gizzard shad here in the bucket. I think what I want to do though, if y'all will, how y'all do, oh Lord, y'all got water. Okay, well, it don't look too bad on the screen. Y'all got to tell me these things. Y'all have got a big water drop right here on the right here on the dang screen. I didn't even know that was there. Y'all clean your face off here. Lord almighty, y'all. Let's just pedal over there to the other side real quick. I just want to know if y'all will come with me, humor me on this. If we pull that live shad behind us, I've got to pedal slow to get over there. I really want to see if I can get out of the wind over there. I want to see what it's like on that other branch, and I want to do this right here. You see these? These are portable electric. How you turn this thing on? Now I've hooked that thing up to a charger. How you do it? Does it light up? Maybe you got to hold it in. Oh, okay, there it goes. It's got 3. Does 3 lights, I guess, mean it's all the way? I want to get the one in my other pocket too. I want to hook these damn things up, y'all. It's cold, man. It's cold as a witch's mammary gland out here. Hold on, I'm fumbling around here. I got me a new life jacket on. Oh, here's that. Let's see if we can hold that thing down. Okay, it lit right up in. There we go. All right, let's see if these things are any good. I'm gonna hold them in my hands here. I got me this new life jacket on. It ain't new. I had it a few years ago, but it's been in my closet. And I broke the zipper on my one I've been wearing the last few years. I broke it down in Florida. And I said, you know, it's time I switch that life jacket out anyway. So I busted this one out of my closet, and I ain't got it fit on me just right. It's the same kind of life jacket. It's an Old Town Lure, but I ain't got it fit on me just right. And I got another life jacket too that was in my closet. An NRS Chinook. I don't know the proper way to say it. But I got that life jacket. It's been several years ago. I won it in a tournament. And it's been sitting in my closet. So what I'm gonna do, sometime this winter, I'm gonna tie me up some skipjack rigs, because I always keep them in my life jacket. That way, no matter what kayak I'm in, I got them. And I'm gonna tie me up some extra, and I'm gonna put a bag of them in each life jacket. And I'm gonna have one life jacket for my motorized kayak and one for this one. Because one day, when I first got this kayak, I left my life jacket at home. Because I was, all out of sorts. I was getting a new routine, loading and unloading this kayak, and I left the damn life jacket back at the house. Okay, the wind is hitting. This may be a mistake running over here. We'll see. I just want to see what the wind's doing down this other branch here. But anyway, I'm gonna have 2 life jackets, one for each kayak. And that's going to get them both out of the closet, which my girlfriend needs that closet space. She's got a bunch of clothes. I don't have that many clothes. I feel like there's 7 days in a week, and I'm going to do laundry about once a week. So I don't need that many clothes. My girlfriend, though, I bet you she's got enough clothes to have a different outfit every day of the month. Oh man, it's starting to rain, y'all. Y'all get your rain jacket on. It's starting to rain. Here we are. It's starting to rain, and we're working away from the boat ramp. We're committed to it now, though. We're going for it. I'm hoping we can get out of the wind over here. We're either going to be completely out of the wind on this side, or it's going to be way worse. I can't figure out which. I can't figure out exactly which way it's blowing. On a positive note, the hand warmers do seem to be warming up a little bit. They're not real hot, but they're warmer. I've had these things. I got them for Christmas. I got several of them somehow. I keep accumulating them, but I've never used them. I think it's one of them things like, because you got to plug them in and charge them, it's just one more battery I got to charge when I get home. I think this wind may be blowing right down through here. I think I've totally misjudged it. I think it's worse here. I really wanted to go to the back of this thing. Yeah, it's worse here, y'all. Damn. damn, man. The wind's actually blowing directly. It's blowing directly down this branch. I guess we're just getting like where it hits the land and kind of comes down where we've been. I guess we've been shielded without actually knowing we were shielded. We ain't gonna be fishing down here in this. Yeah, it's white capping right here. All right, well, if at first you don't succeed, here's the new plan. Let's run back to the back. Hopefully, with it starting to rain right now, hopefully the person that was fishing by the bridge back there will be gone. We'll net us some more shad right quick. I just want to see. Well, we're taking some water over the bow, man. These waves are white capping. That wind is blowing right up the river right here. And boy, it's got some momentum. Make some big waves down through here. I just totally misjudged that. I thought we'd be protected over here. Shows what I know. You don't want me being the navigator, y'all. That's for dang sure. Y'all need to take charge and tell me where we're going to fish that. But here's going to be the new plan. I'm cold. It's starting to rain. But I want to know if there's any damn catfish in here today. We're out here. We're already miserable. We might as well find out. So I say this. Let's run back here to this bridge. See if that guy is still fishing back there. If he is, we'll go throw the net over there in that pocket where we got the other shad. If he's gone, we'll throw right there at the bridge, get us some more shad. Then we'll start trolling out. We'll troll a catfish bait, and we'll put some live shad out. And we'll start back there in the shallows, and we'll make our way up to about right in here where it's getting super choppy. Well, I can't believe this. This is real choppy right here. That wind is ripping, man. I was getting hit with the gust occasionally down through here on this side. I guess it's just where it was whipping around. I apologize if I sound a little winded on camera. It's not so much, it's not me pedaling that's causing it. It's the fact I can't hardly breathe. I've got my nose all stopped up. Nose is running right now because it's cold. I'm mouth breathing, I feel like, and I feel like I'm a little bit winded. All right, yeah, we get back over here, it's much calmer. But you get out there where you're hitting the waves dead on, it's choppy. This kayak here, because it sets lower on the water, and especially today, because we got that bucket up there with 40 pounds of water on it, you're going to take more water over the bow. But it sheds water very well. There's nothing, no hatches, no openings, nothing for the water to get into. It comes in, it drains right out the pedal drive slot. So, you know, you got to be careful in this kayak as far as leaving stuff out on the deck. Like if you got something lightweight, big wave comes over, it'll wash it right out. But it sheds water really quickly. And so, I tell you folks, I love this kayak. It's not the perfect kayak for all conditions, but it's fun to fish out of. And when I go fishing, I want to have fun. And I want to see how big a catfish I can catch in this thing. I'm telling you, man, we hook into a big flathead, a big blue, it's going to be a sleigh ride, man. And I want to do it. We will at some point. I will either figure out a way to mount rod holders in such a way that allows me to fish how I normally do, or we'll do like I talked about and just mix things up. But it's going to happen. We're going to put some time into this kayak. This winter, this spring, this coming summer, I won't be fishing out of it. It's too much fun not to fish out of it. And I didn't have any problems. One of the things I was really worried about with this kayak was getting sciatic pain because of the pedaling motion. I've had that problem with the Hobie pedaling motion in the past. It's the stepping motion. My body just hates it. And I prefer the bicycle style pedaling motion, for sure. It's way more comfortable for me. But I will be the first to point out that thankfully I was wrong about this kayak, because I pedaled a lot down there in Florida. Not just distance that I traveled, but also too just fighting the current. You can log a lot of miles just holding yourself in place in a mile and a half an hour current. So I logged some miles down there and I feel good. Now I was fatigued muscular wise, like just not being used to this pedaling motion. It'd been so long since I'd done it, like muscular wise, I'd get home at the end of the day and I'd be fatigued, I'd be tired. But I don't have any pain from it. And so I'm very optimistic that my little workout program that I do, every day I do a series of exercises and stretches. I'm in way better shape now than what I was back a few years ago when I had the problem with the pedal motion. I'm hoping that because I'm in such good shape now, that I won't have that issue anymore. And I'll be able to use this pedaling motion. That's what I'm hoping for, y'all. I love it though. I absolutely love it. It's so much fun. I really love the fact that I don't need a trailer for it. I can load it up in the back of the truck. I don't need a bed extender because it's only 11 feet long. It's super lightweight. I can launch it anywhere, literally anywhere. Don't need a boat ramp. I got one today. Don't need it. Can put it in anywhere. It's so lightweight. When I get home, I bought I may have told you all this. I bought a utility cart for it. I got it at Harbor Freight. It's like a plastic, it's like a utility cart like you'd use in your garage to store stuff and roll around. It's the perfect height. When I lay down my truck bed and this is sitting on top of that utility cart, I can slide it out of the truck right onto that cart, or when I'm loading up, push the cart over, load it right into the truck. Perfect height. And I just put some pool noodles around the top of the edge there of the utility cart, and this thing sits there on it, and I can roll it around my carport, get it out of the way. Like it's such an awesome setup. I want to have a kayak with all the bells and whistles, motor, electronics, and all that, but I also want one that's simple and lightweight and basic. And this one, I think it's going to replace my Old Town. I love my Old Town. My Old Town, prior to me getting this, my Old Town pedal kayak is my favorite kayak of all time. But everything it does, this one does a little better, with the exception of mounting rod holders. I can easily do that in the Old Town, whereas I can't with this one yet. But as far as being lightweight, this one's lighter. As far as speed goes, they're comparable. Being able to put in anywhere, this one's easier. Maneuverability, this one's easier, turns better. Ocean fishing, this one's much better because there's no water, no places for water to get in. I mean, it's just, it checks so many boxes for me. So I love it. Okay, that person's still back here on the bridge. So let's go back over here in this pocket. Let's just go over here in this pocket, throw the net once or twice, get us some more shad. And then we will come out here and troll into the wind. And that'll help us control our speed. And I want to try to bust the catfish in here, man. I'm gonna take one of them yellow bass probably. Or maybe one of them, cut up one of them gizzard shad. Put that on the catfish rod and then take some of them live shad we're about to get. Throw them on a rod behind us, fish the top and the bottom of the water column. And we'll work our way out. I'd like to fish the other side. I'd certainly like to fish out there toward the mouth of this creek a little more for the catfish. I don't know how much we'll be able to do out there because of just how choppy it is. That's going to be a little bit difficult today. But we're at least going to try, man. We're out here. We're already cold. It's quit raining, thankfully. It just sprinkled for a minute. That guy over there's got the right idea. He's got a fire set up. That's what we need. Need a daggone fire. Well, let me put my hand warmers back in the pockets here. They can be warming my belly while I get my hands ice cold again throwing this net. Before we get over here too, I'm gonna take our bucket here, dump it out, put some fresh water in. Them shad, when they get confined and stressed, they shed a lot of their slime and scales, and it changes the pH in the water, and they die off quick. You got to have filtration, a bigger tank. They just don't do well. Do well enough for what we need today, but definitely not going to keep them alive for very long in that kind of setup. Especially overcrowding them like we did in the beginning. I don't know if there's anybody on there on that boat or not. All right, y'all. Let's see if we can dump our bucket here. I don't want to dump it out over the side because I want to keep that. I want to keep that gizzard shad right there. There we go. Got him in the floor. There we go. Okay. There we go. And let's put him back in. Thank you, Mr. Gizzard Shad. Set that up there. All right, folks, let's get our net again here. We'll put it around my wrist. Again, I normally like to cinch it down up here by my elbow. But this net here with the cheaper materials this doesn't hold up there very well. Okay. All right, y'all. Let's see. Y'all hang on to the chest here. I don't want to throw yins out again. This is the most dangerous thing we're going to do today is throwing this net with this camera right here. Let's go back up here where we got them others. Just going to glide on up here. Again, y'all going to fish with me in the future. It'd be helpful if y'all would bring the bait. I wouldn't mind you baiting my hooks for me too. I'd let you. Now, you make me do everything around here. Make me catch the bait, bait the hooks, reel in the fish. For somehow or another, I'm the only one that embarrasses myself on camera. Y'all never do. I'm getting the raw end of the deal on this relationship here, folks. All right. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any action here, flipping or anything, but we'll make a throw or two right in here anyway. Just see what happens. Throw right over here by these trees. The weather seems to be changing. It may have moved them or something. I don't know. Well, here we go. Oh, something jumped right there, didn't it? Yeah, it wasn't no good. Well, we got a few of them small thread fins. Need a few more than that, though. I'd like to get another couple dozen. Let's go ahead and stick that one in there. If I can get hold of the dang things. Yeah, heck with it. We'll get some more over here in a second, hopefully. Let's make a throw right here. That one fish was splashing right over here. There we go. There we go. There we go, folks. Oh, look at that. Oh, we just got us a bycatch right there. One of them accidental catches. That right there was what was busting right there beside us a second ago, folks. Oh, large jaw. A large jaw right there. That's a pretty good bass. All right, get your shad here, folks. We got a bunch of them on that throw. Throw them in the bucket right fast. Oh, my hands are cold. They ain't working right. I can't hardly get hold of them. Yeah, I got a bunch that time. Most of them went down to my pedal drive, but that's okay. We'll do what we can here with them. About to blow up here on these. We're about to blow up here on the dang shore here in a second, folks. Let me just get a couple more out here if I can before I pedal us and move us. You get all these shad down here and you pedal drive, and then you go to pedal, some of them will get crushed. Go. We don't need too many, but I'd like to have a couple dozen. Again, we're just going to run these while we are catfishing. We'll have one catfish rod out and one double hook live shad rig out. Let's take this out. Oh, goodness. Can't get hold of them. My hands ain't working. This should be a show in itself, me trying to grab these shad. All right, I think that's good enough. We got us some. Set that back up there out of the way. There's a dead one we threw in. Yeah, folks, we got that big gizzard shad. We got the others right there. That'll be good enough. All right, let's get back out here now. Well, we've blown up real shallow right here. I feel my pedals hitting. That's another advantage, though, to this stepping style pedal drive, is when you get real shallow like that, you can flutter kick and just push your feet more forward, have them fins up under the hull, and be able to go through shallower water, whereas your bicycle prop style, it's a fixed position under you. So if it needs a foot of water to operate, well, then you got to be in a foot of water to operate it. Whereas this, normally you probably need about a foot when the fins are all the way down. But if you flutter kick, you can get by with it being a lot shallower. Oh goodness, I'm cold now. All right, well, I want to run us right back out here in the main creek channel. We're going to bait up for catfish, bait up our light action rod, and we're going to see what we can catch, y'all. I hope we get something. I'm so jealous of that guy's fire over there under the bridge. That looks so warm right now. We could have gone, I could have got us some bait and we could have gone bait fishing. Built a fire or something, but I really wanted to get out here and see what all we could get today, just doing a combo trip. So far it's been productive as far as what we've gotten, but now it's time to get down to business. See if we can get us some cats. We'll be able to easily control our speed going into the wind. It'll be cold because it'll be blowing into my face the whole time, but we'll at least be able to make sure that we're not going too fast. I'd rather go too slow than to go too fast. Okay. All right. Let's get our catfish rod. This is just a dragging setup. I've had this same one tied on, I think, since I went to South Carolina. Just a small dragging sinker. 80-pound leader down to a float and rattle down to a 10-aught size hook. Set that off to the side. We'll set it out and then we'll get the light action rod set up. I think I want to put on, let's see what, I kind of want to take that live shad right there and cut him. That's what I kind of want to do, but I'm going to stick my hand down in there and grab him. My gosh, we got him. All right. That's fairly easy. Yeah, I just want to, I'm going to take a knife actually, and I'm just going to get him bleeding a little bit. We'll put him on like that. Send him down to the bottom. We'll just put him on whole and bleeding. Because he's I don't know, what do you think? He's probably 5-inch maybe? 5-inch shad, give or take. Okay. All right, let's just let out a little line on him. Get him behind us a little bit, and then we'll throw out our light action rod with them other shad, and then we'll start moving. Work our way out and see what we run into. Okay. I don't want to run this thing real far behind us, but I'm gonna get him back far enough. Okay. Now let's grab this, switch out this rod. We still got our shad on there from earlier. Them things about dried out now, ain't they? In this wind, them things have, you know what they look like? They look like them dried shad you get at the dang packs in the Walmart. You know the ones I'm talking about? They sell them like $5 a pack, them dried out shad. Some of them's got cherry flavor and whatnot. I don't know if anybody's ever actually caught any fish on them things, but you see them at the Walmarts and the academies when you go into the sporting goods section. So whether they catch fish or not, they getting people to buy them apparently. Okay. Yeah, I apologize for sniffing, folks. I got the snot running out my nose. We need us a net here, buddy. We didn't need a net for him, did we? We just snatched him. Okay. Oh my gosh, y'all got this. Y'all got this jig. Y'all got that jig and that net up there. I swear it's always something with y'all. I can't get you. I swear I think you just sabotaged me is what I think it is. I think you just purposely do it to try to make a fool out of me. There we go. Lordy days, folks. Lordy days. We'll blow back up on our catfish rig here if we ain't careful. Okay. All right. Let's get one more baited on, and then we're fishing again. It ain't been pretty today, folks. It ain't been efficient. But we're making it work. We're catching some fish. Out here on a little Christmas trip for you all. Christmas is coming for me in a few days. Got some family stuff to do. My girlfriend's family does a breakfast type thing where the whole family gets together. I got to go over to do that. And my family has a get together on Christmas Eve where Daphne the dog will get some new presents along with the new cats in my life. I've got to tell you the story. Let me tell you the story right now that we've got going here. Got our lines out. If y'all got water all over the lens from the cast net, no, y'all still look good. Let me tell you about these damn cats, what they done while I was gone. So, the cats, my neighbor left these cats. She moved. She told me she's going to take them to the pound. She didn't. And anyway, these cats, they're malnourished, they're starving. I started feeding them. I feel bad for them. I bonded with a couple of them. Next thing you know, I got the damn things in the house. And so, anyway, Florida trip comes up. And the cats had been doing well in the house, but they hadn't been in there long. And I leave. Of course, my girlfriend leaves, and we both go to Florida there, and we're gone. My mom's stopping by my house and checking on them about every day, just make sure they got food and water and clean the litter robot thing out when it needs it. And these cats, they start acting out. They start pooping outside of the litter box. My mom would go over one day and there'd be a pile of poop on the floor with the litter rug pulled over on top of it. One day she went over there and she said they had wrapped the poop up like a present. They had pooped in the middle of the rug and then pulled the corners of the rug over the top of the poop trying to cover it. Like, they're very creative. She said it was like unwrapping a present. Well, she had problems with them the whole time I was gone. And I get back home, and I knew the house was going to be a mess, right? Like, I knew it was going to need a deep clean when I got home because there was going to be cat hair everywhere, and you know how it is when you got animals. Like, they shed, and I knew the house was going to be a mess, right? I was prepared for that, or so I thought. Folks, I get home, and mind you, I'm tired because I had a 14-hour drive to get back. So I drove part of the way. That day we left the Keys, I had to take my girlfriend to the airport, so I dropped her off. Then I went fishing at Lake Ida for a few hours. Then I started driving. And I drove till I got tired. And the next day I get up, and I've got the rest of the way to go. So I had a long drive, which there was a ton of traffic that weekend, and cops everywhere, so it took a long time for me to get home. So when I did get home, I was tired. And I was like, man, I'm just going to go in, go to bed. Well, I walk into my house, and it is a disaster zone. I've never seen so much hair in my life. I'm like, did these cats, how do they have any hair left on them? Like, they've shed so much. How is there any hair left? There's hair everywhere. And so I'm like, I've got to clean this place up. Like, so I was tired, but I said, I'm gonna clean. I'm gonna bust out the vacuum. Thankfully, they hadn't pooped in the floor when I got home, so I didn't have that to clean up. But anyway, I'm cleaning. I'm vacuuming. And in my living room, I've got Daphne's dog bed over by the window. And she's got like a big, well, you know what a dog bed looks like. It's like a big mattress with a cover over, right? And the cats, especially the little black cat, it would sleep with Daphne. Like, it lays with her on that bed. And so I'm vacuuming, and I get over there to that bed, and I go to take my foot and just kick it out of the way. And it don't move. I'm like, what the hell's wrong here? It's like it's stuck to the floor. And folks, I lift this bed up, and this bed probably weighs an extra, and I'm not even exaggerating, it probably weighs an extra 10 pounds or so, because it was so saturated with cat piss. They had been, at least one of them anyway, had been pissing in Daphne's bed the whole time I was gone, and it had completely saturated the mattress, soaked all the way through to the floor. Thankfully, I've got hardwood floors. It's not like it's carpet or anything. It would have ruined it. I was so mad. I had to throw that bed out, and I was like, uh-oh, we got something happening on our cat rod here. Got a little tap right there, folks. I know you probably can't see these rods on camera. Again, I've got to figure out a better way to mount these rod holders where y'all can see. You just have to take my word for it. We had a little tap. But this mattress was just completely saturated with cat pee. And I was so mad. Like, I was like, you dang dog. I was saying far worse than that. But One of the cats was hid under the couch because I was vacuuming. The other one was out and about, and I put it outside. I said, "You're done. You're gone. You're an outdoor cat now." Well, a couple hours go by, and it was miserable cold. It was like down in the 20s that night, and I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling guilty. And so I go out there to let that cat in, and it's gone. Like it's not out there. And I start to get worried because now, guilt is getting to me. I don't want to leave that cat out in the dang cold after it's gotten used to being in the house. But I couldn't find it out there. Well, the next day it shows back up, and I bring it back in. And as mad as I was, guilt kind of took over, so I've kind of been letting them be in the house again. But since I've been home, they've both been perfect angels. I've had no other issues since I've been back. It's just while I was gone, I guess they felt abandoned, and they acted out and was pooping in the floor and peeing on Daphne's dog bed, and by gosh, they showed me. So when I go out of town next time, I guess I'm just going to take them and have them boarded. Maybe if it's spring or summer, I'll just put them outside while I'm gone, but I was so mad, y'all. You can't even imagine how mad I was at them dang cats. Like they had just, I'm not even exaggerating. I know when I say 10 to 12 pounds extra, probably sounds like I'm exaggerating. I swear to you, hand on a Bible, it had to have weighed at least 10 pounds extra because of just being soaked with cat pee. Just soaked to the core. So anyway, that was me when I got home, y'all. That was welcome home to Tennessee. Not only was it freezing cold when I got back, but I had a mess to clean up when I got home. But thankfully, they've been perfect angels since I've been back. They still shed a lot. I have to vacuum all the time. But they've been much better behaved. They both get along with Daphne. Daphne likes both of them. The little black one sleeps with Daphne in her bed every night. It's like they're bonded. If the black one wants Daphne's bed, now sometimes it will go over there and lay down pretty much on top of Daphne, and if Daphne don't move, it'll start smacking Daphne in the face until she moves, and then it'll take the center of the bed, and Daphne will get up and just look at me like I should be doing something about it. And I'm like, you're a dog. You handle it your damn self. You outweigh this cat by 50 pounds. What are you afraid of? But that little black cat runs the house. Oh. Fish. We got one on the live shad here. On the jig heads going behind us. All right, another one right here in the middle of the creek, folks. I hope it's something we can take with us for bait. What do we got here? Oh, we can. It's yellow bass. All right. All right, folks. How about that, man? We've got on some yellow bass back here today. Throw him in the cooler. We can use him again. Our shad right there is dead. Let's take him off and I wish one of them things would swim up closer to the surface here. Of course they ain't going to. We'll have to get my whole hand down in there wet. Got one, okay. There we go. And we drifted back over our catfish line. It's okay. Put that back out behind us. All right, folks, we're back after it again. All right, that's encouraging. Get something right out here. if we can just bust a catfish, preferably a big one, we're set. I definitely want to work out as far as we can in this creek before the wind gets ridiculous out there, where seem to be, I mean, the wind's hitting me right now in the face, like it's blowing, but it ain't like what we experienced when we went out there and tried to get around to the other branch. Like it was, well, I mean, you saw it, it was whitecapping, it was coming over the front of the kayak out there. Not much we can do in that. And that's not just in this kayak, that's any kayak. Like I don't want to be fishing in that regardless. I've had fun today, y'all. I've been cold the whole time, but I've had fun today. Things have went kind of like I'd hoped as far as getting the shad, feeding them to fish that we could cut up for catfish bait. Now I'd like to bust a big catfish over here. That may or may not happen, but we'll work that shad there that's on there for a little while. Whole, with a slit cut in him there and bleeding but alive. And then if he gets eat, we'll put on one of them yellow bass. Sometimes I think, and I've thought about this a lot, and it goes back to me being kind of set in my ways. Like when I go out, I'm catfishing, I'm using cut bait, I'm cutting up my baits. You've seen it. I'll cut up a head bait and a body chunk. Like if I'm fishing 2 rods, a head bait and a body chunk, right? And I usually run them stinger fly rigs, so we've got our piece of cut bait and then a smaller fly under it. But I'm guilty of not playing around with bait size very much. Like I pretty much stick to those baits. Now sometimes in the winter months, like I might start cutting out gut pockets of the chunks of bait, right? Just to make a smaller profile. But I have to believe there are times when you take like this creek, for instance, fish are working up in here to feed periodically. The catfish, they're out in the main channel, they're coming up in this creek once, twice a day probably to feed. They're going to eat whatever it is they come across. Like they're the apex predator out here. They're going to eat whatever it is they find. And when you think about that, sometimes, like right now, this time of year, when you got a million threadfin shad in here, they're going to find them tiny baits. Maybe they eat some, maybe they keep going. They're going to find some gizzard shad. 5 to 8 inches is usually the size I get out here when I throw a net for them. There are some big jumbo size gizzard shad in here, but more oftentimes than not, when I throw a net, I usually get them like 5 to 8 inches. So that's a common size that they're going to be eating. Then you got other fish though. Yellow bass, crappie, largemouth bass. Catfish are going to eat them too. And so I have to believe that there's a lot of times when I'm just simply throwing out my normal head and chunk pieces of cut bait, which works. I mean, it works. How many fish have I caught? Thousands of fish I've caught on the head and chunk pieces of cut bait, right? Like I know it works. But I have to believe there's a lot of times when there's probably going to be catfish passing up my baits for the simple fact that they are keyed in on maybe 2-inch long threadfin shad. And then there's other times I bet there's fish that are passing up my baits because they're keyed in on 12 to 14-inch crappie. and my baits are just too small and not appealing to them. You know what I mean? Like, I have to believe that, and maybe the size of baits I do and how I do it's a good compromise in the middle between the two extremes, and maybe that's why I catch as many fish as I do. But I think if you could really dial in on any given trip the species of bait that they're eating at the time, that they're really focusing on, and the size of it, I think it would really go a long ways to catching more fish. But, you know, how do you do that? How do you do it unless you just happen to, you know, unless you just happen to see what it is they're eating? I mean, like, if we see a school of threadfin shad getting busted by a largemouth bass, and you throw over there and you catch a largemouth, well, okay, you know what they're eating, you know the size, etc. But when you're fishing for catfish and you are fishing 20 to 60 feet deep, let's say, you don't really know what it is they're feeding on down there. There's a variety for them. There's all kinds of fish for them to eat. And then when they move up here in these creeks and stuff, there's everything for them. So you don't really know on any given day what it is that they're after. And if you're fishing in a boat and you can throw out 10 or 12 rods, maybe you put a different type of bait and different size of bait on each one of them, and you can process of elimination type thing. But if you're in a smaller boat, or in my case a kayak, and you fish 2 rods at the most, maybe 4, although I know some of these kayak guys are running 10 plus rods with their planer boards and stuff now, and these motorized kayaks. But, you know, most of us are going to fish 2 to 4 rods on a kayak. There's not a lot of room for experimentation. And I'm pretty set in my ways. I know what's worked for me, and I keep going back to it. And maybe that's one thing about this kayak that could be good for me in the event that I can't figure out a good way to mount solid rod holders, is that maybe I do mix things up and change how I fish and how I go about things, and the techniques and the style and baits and stuff, and that will maybe not work out, or maybe it will. I do have to figure out something, though. I've got to figure out these rod holders that I'm doing today, and these are just the Scotty rocket launcher style with a track mounted base. It's fine for what we're doing today, but it's not. If we were suspending baits, that downward torque, that thing would rip right out and maybe damage the hull in the process. So, not a good setup long term. It's not a good option for us. You hear the rustling around right now, folks. I'm trying to get back in my pockets with these hand warmers. While the wind ain't blowing right now, I can take my hand off the rudder, try to warm them up a little bit. I'm just slowly pedaling us, kind of barely moving my feet here. That way we're just, between me barely moving us forward and the wind kind of trying to push us backwards, we're barely moving. And we're just working these baits real slow. I want to keep these catfish rigs, or our one and only catfish rig, I'd like to keep it moving half a mile an hour or less. And I certainly can't judge that with any certainty without a graph, but I can pedal along here and watch the land beside me and I can kind of see. I've done enough drifting and trolling in my day, I can kind of look at the land and be like, oh, I'm moving way too fast. And the wind, going into the wind certainly helps too. If you've got just flat, calm conditions, it's hard to pedal a half a mile an hour. Oh, something was after our light rod got tapped. But it's hard to pedal really that slowly. When I first got into dragging baits, I still had my Hobie Outback. And that was back before I had the sciatic problem, and so I was pedaling a lot, and I'd be out there some days and you'd be moving so slow, it's just monotonous. And then you look down at your graph and you're like, oh crap, I'm going like 1.5 miles. You know, you'd be going 1 mile an hour faster than you wanted to go, but it's just, you just couldn't go that slow sometimes. But I definitely want to see what it's like to catch a big catfish in this kayak. It was so much fun with the sharks. And those sharks, there's nothing that can match that. From obviously the big ones that I hooked into that I never saw what they were, the power of those things, you cannot match that in fresh water. Like you can't, there's nothing like it. But even the smaller black tip sharks, like that 3 to 5 foot long range, their ability to swim so fast, then turn on a dime and be coming back at you full speed, it's incredible, man. It's awesome. Like you can't match that in freshwater either. And so I had a lot of fun in this kayak. Just having one of them sharks just spin you in a 360 on a dime in this thing, it's incredible. Now the catfish fights obviously won't be like that. It'll be a different fight. It won't be like as intense as that, but it's still, you hook into a big blue or a big flathead in this thing, it's still going to be a damn sleigh ride. I mean, they're going to pull you all over. Now, if I can figure out a good way to anchor this kayak, then maybe, we'll have our fun, but it'll be stationary position. But I haven't come up with a good way to anchor it yet. I bought some, they're called, a viewer had told me about this product. I'd shout him out, but I can't remember the screen name. Stand-up paddleboard leash adapters. And they're a specialized screw. It's like a hook. And it goes down to where your rope is up there, your bungee, and connects onto that. And then you can connect accessories to it and kind of push it down, hold it in place. It's good in theory. But in practical terms, I didn't think them things were very sturdy. And so, like, I'm trying to put on a Yak Attack, a boat cleat or deck cleat to be able to tie off an anchor to. And I'm pulling on this thing, and I'm like, that's not very secure. If I'm fishing in current, or if a big fish takes off running and I'm hanging on, like that thing's going to get ripped off, I felt like. And with this kayak, with you not being able to drill into it, there's not really a good way to rig up an anchor trolley on it. And so I don't really have a good way to anchor other than maybe tie off to the seat, which I did attempt that at one point down there in Florida, but you kind of get turned sideways into the current because the seat being in the middle of the kayak and you tying off to the seat, it just kind of turns the kayak on its side. So I don't know that that's really the most safe or effective way to do it. I would like to figure out a way to anchor though, not just necessarily for catfish, but the next time I go down to Florida and do some shark fishing, instead of staying out there in the current and fighting the treadmill all day, essentially. It'd be nice to anchor down and cast some baits out and just let the current take the scent, just like we would if we were catfishing in current, and focus on that for the sharks. I've also got some, speaking of sharks, I've got some new materials to try some leaders with. So some people have commented on my shark videos. And, you know, all these people commenting, they certainly have more experience than I do. I'm still, even though I've been to Florida shark fishing the last 3 years, I'm still got so few trips under my belt. I'm very inexperienced. So I don't pretend to know much of anything. I just go out there and kind of wing it. And so some people have commented trying to help me out and give me tips and advice and stuff. And one of the things that got brought up by multiple people was 400-pound mono. Now, a couple people had said I should use the 400-pound mono as a shock leader down to a wire and then my hook. But a couple people suggested just using the 400-pound mono directly to the hook, no wire. And I thought, well, that don't really make sense, right? Like straight mono, no wire. But I got to researching it, and I found some, I forget the name of the group. It was some online forum. So back in the day, before social media really took off, there were internet websites, and you would have fishing forums. I was in a catfishing one years ago, and people would make a post, and then people would reply, and you could add pictures and stuff, and yada, yada, yada. Basically, it did what Facebook does now, but it did it in the old days with much less drama. But I come across some old posts on there, and it was a Texas group, a kayak fishing group. I can't remember the name, but maybe that was it, Texas Kayak Fishing or something like that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. There's no reason of shouting them out at this point because internet forums are dead. But the posts were still up. And so my internet search results had brought this up, and I clicked on some of the posts. And a lot of those guys that were going shark fishing from kayaks down there in Texas were talking about using just straight mono, 400-pound mono from their main line down to the hook, and using it with good success. Now, a couple people did report having bite-offs, which I imagine that's going to happen time to time regardless, just the way they're going to eat the bait and the fight and all that. You're going to have, it's going to happen. But that would make it a lot easier as far as the rigging goes, because one of the things that they all said in defense of the 400-pound mono, straight mono leader, was that when you go to grab your leader line to try to either cut it or unhook the shark, the mono is so much easier on your hands than the wire. The wire is going to tear your hands up. And so, you know, down there in Florida this last trip, that was one of the things that I didn't get my hands tore up or anything from the wire, but just grabbing your line when those sharks are so powerful and still have energy to make a surge, like it is a little bit dangerous. And so the mono would certainly make it easier, not only on your hands when you go to grab it, but it would make it easier too as far as cutting it, getting it cut in a timely manner there. So I'm going to try it. I've ordered some. And whenever I go back to Florida again, I'm going to try it both ways. Try having the 400-pound mono as a straight leader, and then also too trying it as a shock leader down to a wire and see how it goes. Now, one thing I'm not really sure of, and I'll research it more before I rig them up, is kind of the length of leader needed if you're just using mono. Like, one of the things that was told, that people told me, was that my leader length was too short. I was doing like 3 foot long wire to my main line. And so when a shark, when they get some slack in your line or they wrap you up, they get their body around your main line, that 50-pound main line just ain't gonna hold up. Like they're gonna break it. And so I imagine if you were trying to catch, I mean, for me in a kayak to have any chance at getting that shark up, it needs to be 8 foot or less. Anything bigger than that, it's going to be a 2-hour battle, and I'm probably still not going to be able to do anything with it. But I guess a 7 or 8 foot long leader, that would cover the length of the shark, essentially. I think anything more than that would be difficult to deal with, because I don't know, that 400-pound mono is thick. And so once you tie a knot with that thing, I don't know that it would get through my guides on my rod, so I'd probably just run it mainline to a swivel to the 400-pound mono. But if I do that, I don't want to have a 12-foot long leader when I'm using 7-foot rod. Oh, and that's one of the other things I've done too, y'all. So my shark rods are Catfish rods. They're the Catfish Sumo Elite 150 model rod. And I love those rods because they're a really heavy duty rod. Like they're way heavier than what I would want to use for catfish. Because, I mean, they can literally deadlift 150 pounds without breaking. I've seen Daniel do the strength test down there at Catfish Sumo. Like they will lift 150 pounds without breaking. They are a stout rod. And I don't really like fishing with that stout of a rod for catfish. I want something that, because you catch a 5-pound dink on that rod, you're not even going to put a bend in it, man. It'd be like reeling in a bluegill on a bass rod. Like it's just not, takes the fun out of it. But for those sharks, it's perfect. But those rods are 7.5 foot long, and the handles on them, the butt ends, are kind of your standard length butt end. Like they're made for somebody who is standing up fighting a fish. And when we're sitting down in a kayak, most of the time we're going to remain seated. Most of the time we're not going to be standing up fighting fish, right? So there's no reason to have a really long butt end on your rod, because if you do, it's just going to make it more uncomfortable for you the more fish you reel in, because it's just not ergonomically correct. That was one of the things about when we designed my catfish rod here, my signature series rod, the Golly Whopper. You notice the short handle here? When I'm reeling in a fish, I can put this butt end in my belly, and it keeps my arm and my elbow close to my body. If you're doing a bicep curl, if you're working out at the gym and you're doing a bicep curl, you're not holding your arms way out here, right? Your elbows are tucked in by your body. And you're ready. Y'all holler at them geese right there. They want some attention, by gosh. And so that's how you would do. You keep your elbows tucked in because it's more ergonomic. But yet, when we're sitting in a kayak and we're using a rod that's designed for people standing up, that butt end is in our belly, and our elbow, our bicep, it's extended. Our hand's way out here, and we're trying to lift, and it puts all that pressure on your shoulder. And listen, for normal fishing, if you're out catfishing, you're catching 5-10 pounders, whoop-de-doo. It's not going to make a bit of difference. You're not going to tire out. When you are down there fishing for sharks and you hook into something that's taking you on a ride for an hour plus, you're going to tire out quickly if you're not using proper body mechanics. And so anyway, I got home from Florida this time, and I said, you know what, I'm cutting off the handles on those Elite 150 rods. I'm gonna cut them down to the same length I've got here on my Golly Whopper rods. That way I can fight fish from a sitting position and have better body mechanics. And so I reached out to Daniel. I said, Daniel, what are the odds that I could get those end caps? Those Elite 150 rods, they've got like a rubber butt end that slides over the back of the rod. I said, what are the odds you have any just butt ends just laying around the warehouse down there or something? He's like, yeah, I'll send you some. And so he sent me some very quickly, mailed them out the next day. And so I've already got those rods cut down. I took a hacksaw to them, just cut it off down there. And I peeled back the foam around the handle and got some super glue and slid on those end caps. And now I've got me Elite 150 rods that I'll use for sharks with a shorter butt end. And that's, I mean, it's gonna make it so much easier, so much more comfortable. And also, here's a side note on that. When you've got a rod with a long butt end, and this will help maybe some of y'all out there with YouTube channels, if you're running a chest cam, which I do most of the time, and that long butt end, your hand and your reel is up here, right in the way of the camera. It's blocking the camera. You're missing a lot of stuff. When you've got it down appropriate for sitting down, it brings your arm down, it brings the reel down, and it gives you a better camera angle. Oh, a catfish. Oh, catfish. He's pulling. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy, would you see that? He spun us around quick, didn't he? Oh, that's awesome. That's what I wanted to experience, y'all, on this thing. Man, did you see how fast he turned us? Oh, buddy. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, man, that's awesome. I don't even think he's that big. I don't even think he's that big, y'all, but man, he spun us quick. He spun us in circles. Now, here's our dang, oh, man. He spun us in circles. We got our other line wrapped all around us here. And we're gonna have a mess, but this is awesome. Oh, it's a fun sizer. He spun us in a complete circle. And we have got this line. We've got the line from our line action rod all up in him. Y'all, what a mess. What a mess. Totally worth it though, totally worth it. This is technically, this will sound silly, y'all make fun of me over this, but this is technically, in this kayak, this is the PB Blue Cat in this kayak. Now, granted, I've not caught catfish out of this kayak, but this is the PB. So, yeah, folks, we just set a PB. I'm gonna try putting him back in the rod hold for a second while we get our light action rod here. God almighty, he's got us wrapped up in everything. Okay, maybe this ain't gonna be so bad after all. Maybe not so bad after all. I gotta do a better job of staying on the pedals next time. But I was so excited, I was so into it, I couldn't contain myself for a second, folks. Let me grab my glove. Oh man, y'all, he nailed that thing. He had us spun and going backwards. That was awesome. That's gonna be one thing about this kayak. Because it's so lightweight and easily moved, it's not gonna take a big fish for us to have a damn good time in this thing. This fish right here, I mean, granted, he nailed the bait, but it's not gonna take a big fish to really get us moving. Come on up, buddy. Come on up. He's got mud all over him, you can tell. this fish has been recently down in the mud. You know what I'm gonna do? Since this fish is technically my PB in this kayak, let's set up our front camera mount that I jimmy rigged on the Florida trip. We'll get a front camera shot with him. I'll give him some front camera time. Let me wipe the snot out my nose here, y'all. I'm cold. I'm very cold. Yeah, let me touch the screen there. Oh yes, y'all, we got us one. He's no monster, but that's a fun sizer. He nailed that shad that we had cut that we were dragging along. Look at this side here. I don't know if you can see there, all that mud from his belly to his back, all the way up to his head. Like he's been down in the mud very recently. Well, he come out and ate today, didn't he? That was fun. We're gonna have some fun in this kayak, y'all. We're gonna have some fun, man. I'm gonna bust me a monster in this thing. I don't know if it's gonna happen today. At some point, we're gonna bust a monster in this thing. It is gonna be a blast, y'all. Yes. Put that back there. All right, let me put the camera mount back down. You know, I jimmy rigged that camera mount right there with PVC, some ram balls, and a selfie stick in the Best Buy parking lot down there in Florida, because I'd left my other one in the Everglades, which I went back and got, by the way. I don't remember if I ever said that on video, but I went back and got it in the Everglades. It was still there, thankfully. But I think it's actually pretty functional, all things considered. So let's do this. Let's take another gizzard shad. I'm gonna put the whole thing on too. Let's do like we did the other one. Just cut a few slits in him there. Get him bleeding just a little bit. Throw this thing back out. Then we'll throw our light tackle rod, which we got lucky really with that light tackle rod, because he had spun us around in a circle, and it's a wonder he didn't get tangled up in it. Would have totally been worth it though. That was awesome, y'all. That's fun. See, that's what makes kayak fishing fun right there. That's what I love about kayak fishing. That's what made me fall in love with kayak fishing to begin with. Those just intense. When you're in a kayak, when you're in a real kayak, not these large mini boats that's on the market now, like my Hobie Pro Angler back at the house there, like the Bonafide XTR, the new canoes. When you're in a kayak that can actually be considered a kayak, and you get a fish, even one that size, just a fun sizer, man, it's better. It's just a more fun fishing experience, folks. Every time, that's why, you know, when you see me go out in my Old Town kayak, my pedal kayak, which, again, I'm probably going to get rid of because I like this one so much more. But I go out in it, and it's big enough to be stable. Like, I don't feel unsafe in it. I can throw a cast net for him. I can do whatever I need to do. But it's still small enough that you get the kayak fishing experience out of it. And I've said it so many times, like, I just have more fun when I'm fishing in that kayak than I do my Hobie Pro Angler. And it's not always from a just number standpoint of catching more fish, you're better off using all the tools, right? The motor, the graph, the live scope, you know, all those things that give you an edge on catching fish. Like you're gonna, that's what they're there for, right? They're tools to help you catch more fish. But for me, and maybe I'm the weirdo, I don't know. For me, I find much more satisfaction when I catch a big fish, or catch any fish for that matter, in a just basic, simple platform. Coming out here today, no motor, no graph, no electronics, no nothing. Just going fishing, man. And when it comes together and you catch fish, like, it's awesome. And you're in a smaller platform, so you have more fun during the fight of the fish. Whereas if you're in a bigger kayak, it's basically a mini boat is what they've turned into. Yeah, you've got all the tools. It's easier to catch fish with those things. You're probably going to catch more fish most days when you've got all that stuff. But you're not going to have as much fun. And that's what I always struggle with. It's like, there's what I want to do, and there's what I feel like I need to do. I feel like I'm, with the Bonafide, why did I buy the Bonafide? I knew it wasn't my style of kayak, but I was willing to try it because I'm keeping up with the Joneses, right? Like, I want to be competitive on the tournament trail. I want to get as many videos as possible for YouTube. And for me to get videos, I need to catch fish. I got to get bites, right? And so doing that, having all those tools, hopefully, in theory, helps me do more of that. But just from a fun, personal enjoyment perspective, here's the thing, folks. If I didn't fish tournaments, and if I didn't do YouTube, what gear would I use? What kayak would I have? I wouldn't have that Hobie Pro Angler with the motor. I would have never even considered the Bonafide XTR. I would have something like this. Like this would be what I fished out of all the time, especially now that I've had so much fun on this thing. Like, this would be the only thing I took out. Now, would I catch as many fish? Probably not. But if you're just going out with the goal of having fun, what difference does it make? There's not a quota on how many fish you have to catch to have fun. I promise you, if we went out today and we only got one bite all day, but that one bite was a 100-pounder, we're going home smiling. We would go home grinning ear from ear, grinning like a possum eating persimmon, as the saying goes. I promise you we would, even only having caught one fish. So it's not about numbers of fish, it's about fun. And I just, on a personal level, me, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, to each their own, but I have more fun when I'm fishing out of a vessel that's more, and I say more like a kayak. This is actually more like a paddleboard, but you know what I mean. It's in a vessel that is going to get you moved around, going to get that sleigh ride. It's hard to do that when you're in a large, overly stable kayak. They're literally like a mini boat these days. It's a mini boat anymore. That's where the industry's gone to, and I'm as guilty as anybody as pushing the industry toward it. I'm super guilty of it. But when I get down to my core of like, what was it that made me fall in love with kayak fishing to begin with? When I started kayak fishing, I didn't have bow mount motors with GPS. I didn't have live scope. I didn't have any electronics. My first kayak, I had a cheap $400 Field and Stream kayak from Dick's Sporting Goods. It was the most uncomfortable seat you've ever sat in your life. It was incredibly unstable. The plastic on the hull was next to garbage. It wasn't going to last very long. But man, when you hooked into a fish in that thing and you got towed around, like, I was in love from the first time I got bit in it. And I had a boat before I got into kayak fishing. Like, I was fishing out of a boat all the time. But the boat was just, it got to the point where it was sitting on the carport. It's collecting dust. I wasn't using it because I was having so much fun in the kayak. And then I got another kayak, a better quality kayak. I got a Native Ultimate. And that Native Ultimate, it was a paddle kayak. It was 30 inches wide, but it was significantly better quality than the Field and Stream kayak I had. It was way more comfortable, way more stable. Like, it was just, at that time, I had a 2007 model. At that point in time, it was kind of like the premier fishing kayak at the time. Like, it was considered top of the line. Nowadays, nobody would even consider a kayak like that. But for its time, like, it was awesome. And with that kayak being so narrow, I mean, it was very stable for only 30 inches wide. I don't even think they make 30-inch wide kayaks anymore. Everything now is 36 inches, 40 inches. But that thing, I mean, for 30 inches, it was very stable. But man, when you hooked a fish in that thing, holy cow, it was. I fished out of that particular one for 6 years. The very first YouTube video I ever posted was in that kayak. I had so much fun in it, and I had a paddle. No pedals, no motors. I eventually put a fish finder on it so that I could drift more easily and be able to suspend baits and stuff. But in the beginning, I had nothing on it. I put a piece of 1x6 board across the front of it and drilled 2 holes in the gunnels and bolted it through, and I mounted my rod holders to that. And that kayak, man, I fished 6 years in that thing with a paddle, and I caught a bunch of fish. Now, when I went to a pedal kayak, things got easier. I was able to cover more water. I was able to fish with less energy, basically. It takes way less energy to pedal than it does to paddle. I was able to fish in worse wind and water conditions. Like out here, this wind that we've got right now, of course, it's not bad here at this moment. It's not gusting this way right now. But in this kind of wind that we've experienced today in that paddle kayak, it wouldn't have been the best experience, like, because you got to stay on the paddle. Like, you're constantly paddling. At least with this, I can pedal with my legs, and if we need to reel in a shad or something, or reel in our rig or whatever, put on baits, we can still do so. When you're paddling, you got to put the paddle down to use your hands, and then you're getting blown backwards, and so you're kind of limited. You're kind of limited with the paddle kayak, but I'd done it for a long time, and I had so much fun. And when I think back, like, that's what made me fall in love with kayak fishing. And I look at where I am now, I'm so far removed from that. And I find myself almost nostalgic, longing for the old days, kind of like me reliving my childhood by buying these damn wrestling action figures that I don't need. I'm just longing for times gone by. Just trying to recapture that excitement that I once had. And out here today, when that big catfish nailed that bait and had me spinning around backwards in this kayak, in that moment, man, that was awesome. It was exciting. I wasn't thinking about how cold I was. You know, like you're just in the moment. I want to spend more of my life in that moment. That's what I want, man. If you can spend, the more time you can spend in the moments like that where you're just like truly experiencing whatever it is that you're experiencing at that time, like that's life well lived. And unfortunately, it's not like I don't enjoy catching fish regardless. I like catching them off the bank, off a boat, off a big kayak, small kayak, whatever. I do still enjoy it regardless. But it ain't the same. It's not the same. It's better. For me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. You do you. I can't tell you how to have fun. You know, my friend Ryan, he pulls in planer boards. I hate it. I hate pulling planer boards. I'd rather just not go fishing. To me, it's no fun at all. He loves it. And that's fine. There's no right or wrong answer. Whatever you think is fun, whatever you enjoy doing, that's the thing to do. Like, it's your prerogative. We're all different. We're all different people, man. So, I want to do more. I really want to get back more to just simplifying things, keeping things simple. I know it'll cost me fish. I know it'll cost me videos as far as, YouTube goes, the business, but I just want to spend more time having fun, man. Having the most fun possible. Here comes the wind again. We're right here in it, buddy. I'm pedaling, just kind of holding us in place. We're not even moving here at the moment. That wind's hitting me dead on, and when it gusts and hits you just right, buddy, it's blowing. I hope it ain't getting all in the microphone. But it's cold too. The wind, it's cold out here anyway, but when that wind blows across the water and hits you right in the face, like, it's cold. It makes it feel even colder. That's my number one thing about getting that bona fide. Days like today, in theory, I would be fishing off the back of the kayak with the wind blowing into my back, not into my face. But it just didn't work out. Again, it's not a bad kayak. It's just a bad kayak for me. I like different things. This kayak here excites me way more. And this is the exact opposite of that bona fide. I mean, in every way. Boy, that wind's miserable, y'all. Oh man, I wish it would switch all of a sudden. Or slack off. Like, it's really... Boy, it's really going. Man, I tell you what, I'm cold. I was doing okay when we were kind of farther back in the creek and wasn't as exposed to this, but when it's right here blowing in your face, like, it's frigid. I feel like my teeth are about to start chattering. Man. Anytime, Mother Nature, slack off a little bit. I want to catch another one of them cats, though, man. We've only got one, but man, I had fun with it. I'm going to have to get better at that, though, if I'm going to fish 2 rods in this thing, and I don't have to, I could fish 1 probably. But if we're going to fish 2 rods, I'm going to get spun around in this thing. We're going to end up in a tangled mess. Maybe it would be better Maybe it'd be better to suspend one and drag one. Although, if I'm not running a graph in this kayak, it's going to be impossible to suspend without getting snagged or being way too far off the bottom, because we're not going to be able to monitor our depth without a graph. I don't know, we'll figure it out. We're going to figure it out because I want to figure it out. Like, I want to make it work in this thing, just because, I just love it. This is the best fishing product I've bought in a long time. I wish I'd bought one sooner. I wanted it for a long time. Hell, y'all heard me talk about it for a long time. I talked myself out of it. I talked myself out of this kayak, and I talked myself into the Bonafide. I regret both. Y'all, that wind ain't letting up out here, man. I'm freezing cold. I am miserable. I'm about to tap out, buddy. I'm wussing out. I want to catch another one, but I'm so cold. I am so cold right now. This wind, it's just not letting up out here, man. Oh, y'all. I gotta get the wind's done blown my hood off my head, y'all. Listen. It's been fun today, y'all, but I'm miserable cold. Like, I feel like my teeth are about to chatter. I'm gonna get turned around here, which I'm having trouble doing. I pedal with everything I have to. Maybe it'd be easier to turn this way. I'm telling you, you get a strong wind blowing, it is hard to get spun around. But I'm cold. I miss Florida dearly. Well, not the state, but I miss the weather dearly right now. But it was nice getting out here. The catfish we got was awesome. Catching the shad, getting the yellow bass, that largemouth and stuff, that was fun. We've got our yellow bass I've kept in the cooler. I'll put that gizzard shad back in the cooler along with, I think we had one or two more I stuck in there too. And we'll see what the weather's like tomorrow. Again, it's hard. Once I get out here, I'll have fun. It's hard to get motivated to leave the house when it's this cold and this windy though. So we'll see what the weather's like tomorrow. Maybe I'll come out and we'll use these. If not, I'll be back on the water again at some point soon. I just hope it's more productive than what it's been here recently on recent trips, because it ain't been going good for me. But we made it happen today. I'll fist pump that. Again, if y'all seeing this on Christmas, Merry Christmas. Hope y'all had a great year. Hope you and your family are safe and well. And thanks for sticking it out with me this year. A lot of people drop off fishing videos during the winter months. They've got other stuff going on, other interest and whatnot. So thank you for sticking with me through the winter months here. But yeah, I'm gonna pack up. I'm going to the house. I'm gonna go thaw out. I'll see you next time. Merry Christmas.